Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle. The show that's all Patriots, all football, all year long. The clutch wins, the tough losses, and the game-changing plays. This is the show that has it all covered. Sunday Kickoff, brought to you in part by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Now, here are Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
Welcome into Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff Divisional Round Edition. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle with you. Ryan Garv behind the glasses. The Patriots get ready to take on the Houston Texans. A trip to the AFC Championship on the line and potentially much, much more. We've got another special edition of the program for you today. 4 hours, taking you right up until Patriots pregame. So keep it locked here. We will be with you as you are driving into the stadium, getting to wherever you're watching the game. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. Another week, Cerrone, another game. Here we are. We're back. Still going.
Man, as long as we keep going, I don't care, man. It's good stuff. But good morning. Good morning to both of you guys. And it's going to be an interesting day and could be a very interesting next couple weeks.
So I wanted to start, since we have the 4 hours, with a little reaction to last week, and we can get to that if you want. I'm pulling this on Cerrone live on the air because I kind of came up with this morning. But after that game last night, and even with the Broncos winning, I didn't, I was going to talk about this later, but here we are. Bo Nix, I think it's officially described as a fractured ankle. I don't think we have the full details of the injury yet, but he's out. My reaction last night when I was floored.
Yeah, like I didn't know until way late. We were watching a movie like hours later, and I'm seeing why is Jarrett Stidham trending on social media? And I was like, wait a minute, when did Bo Nix get hurt? And I couldn't believe it. I was blown away by that. Somebody put it in one of my group chats who likes to send joke tweets, so I didn't really. I looked as, yeah, okay, Jarrett Stidham, sure. And then somebody else, Ty Anderson, actually, shout out to Ty, sent it to our Sports Hub Writers group chat. I was like, oh, this is real. So obviously, you don't want to see an injury. And I can't imagine how it felt to be a Broncos fan last night or this morning. That's got to be, you punch your ticket to the AFC Championship after some real down years. Mm-hmm. And look, nothing against Jarrett Stidham, but Bo Nix has gotten you here at the quarterback position. You got to figure out what it's going to look like without him. That is tough. But that's the reality of it. Looking at it here from the Patriots side of things, I'm sure they're doing the same thing in Houston this morning. This isn't to get, the Patriots still have to win today. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But how does that change maybe the way you look at this game and the path moving forward? Because if there was a phrase that pays last night, just seeing on social media, texting friends, texting media people, things like that, they're not playing with house money anymore. Mm-hmm. Not to say this wasn't real before. Yeah. But this just got really, really real. I hate to do this, but it almost like it turned into, it almost turned this game into a conference championship. It kind of feels that way. Either one of these teams would probably be favored next week. And I think I
believe Vegas had the initial line. Both are expected to be favored by 3.
Yeah. It's just, hey, man, look. Let me say sense of urgency. You should be fired up anyway to play this game today.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be nothing like, oh, now we really got to play. I think these guys they're going to come out fired up, man. They're going to come out there ready to go, and I think now they can see it. It goes from, like you said, man, now we say happy to be here, but we had a successful season. This is cool, whatever, to now, wait a minute, Super Bowl's right there. It's right there. We can get to the Super Bowl. It's that close. And I think not only the players, I think the fans will be a little louder today. I think the Patriot fans, when they all saw that message, really sat up and said, wait a minute, there's a path. There's a clear path to get to the Super Bowl. And now we were happy. I'm going to say happy to be here. But now it goes from we're full. This is just gravy at this point in the season to, oh, no, we want more. We want more now. And I think everybody's going to be a little extra juiced up by the time this game kicks off this afternoon.
Yeah, and I think the team will approach it and say, wait, and look, to be fair, when I say Bo Nix got you here, I said that earlier. I mean in the context of he's your starting quarterback. Yeah. The defense got them here. And the defense did an up and down day yesterday. There were a handful of turnovers. Some of those to me were more Josh Allen giving the ball away or James Cook.
Literally throwing it on the ground.
Literally, yes. And we will get to that game later. But like you said, from a fan point of view, obviously as fans, you believe, we all believe there's a chance they can make the Super Bowl. But you look at that yesterday and you're like, oh, it's right there. I mean, they're I don't know if they would have been favorited going to Denver. I don't know if they would have been favorited with Buffalo coming here. They weren't favorited last time when Buffalo came here.
Yeah.
They're currently the favorite from the AFC to make the Super Bowl.
Yep.
With, they're one of three teams left in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of wild to see that. I felt like it really crystallized last night. So, from a team perspective, I hope it doesn't change their outlook because I hope they had the same outlook from the beginning. We're going to, beat whoever we need to beat wherever we want to beat them. And if they do win today, they are going to have to go on the road next week. But from a fan point of view, I don't know how you don't look at that and just be like, whoa, like this is really real. Like this isn't just, I hope. Like from a fan point of view, I guess what I'm trying to say, last night it goes from, I really hope they make the Super Bowl to they probably should make the Super Bowl. When they get there, there's some good teams in the NFC. We really talked a lot about that because it was just so crazy talking about them going. But I think last night it goes from I hope they do to, they probably should.
Yeah, and I mean, real quick, you mentioned the NFC. No one's talking about the Seahawks, and they're out there like Drago going through a Rocky movie, just laying everybody out. Well, no one's bringing up the Seahawks at all.
Darnold's hurt now.
Yeah, he was hurt before the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the thing that I'm going to say bothered me. I think Patriot fans have to embrace this. The first thing you see on social media is, they go to the Patriots. Everything lines up for them. We need to put an asterisk next to their season and that's all you saw. It was like the injury was the number one thing. Number two trending was the Patriots, easy path, all this other stuff. Teams benefited from you being down and out, hurt, broken, beat up over the last 5-6 years or so. Don't feel bad that you're the one stepping on them because they're beat up, down and out, and they can't get their stuff together. Don't feel bad. This Patriot team, they put themselves in a position, and Vrabel said this early on, to take advantage of bad football. Doesn't mean the team's playing bad. It could be a team with no talent, team with bad coaching, a team that's injured, but they have capitalized on bad football, and they've won the games they're supposed to win, and that's all you can ask for. This team was in a position to where they can win these games. Last 5 years, Patriots teams, they probably still lose to a Jarrett Stidham team. It doesn't matter. But I mean, it's this team is in a position where you feel good enough against an elite defense on the road in Denver, even if it is the backup quarterback, that you're confident enough that you can overcome all those other things that they're great at and still win a football game. So don't feel bad, because no one will feel bad if the Patriots suffered major injuries or whatever and they walked over you to the Super Bowl or whatever it may be. But you got to take care of business today, even though Nico Collins is out. But don't feel bad about that. Just blame Houston for not having depth at receiver and letting go of Stephon Diggs and letting go of some of the other guys that they did have on the outside.
They obviously have to take care of business today first, but I do want to go back to last week really quick and just kind of revisit that game, Cerrone.
Yep.
I think there's some clear lessons in that one that you can bring forward to today, because in some ways the Texans and Chargers are built similarly.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect comparison, but
it's not far off.
There's some similarities. The big thing for me, and you saw it last night, the turnovers. You could get away with some turnovers against the Chargers because the Chargers were going to turn the ball over back, because that's just kind of who they were this year. You're probably not going to get that with Houston, and I say probably. So they had the second best turnover margin in football. They're one of the best turnover defenses, one of the best ball security offenses in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason they were able to win a lot of games. Their offense is okay. I don't think their offense is bad.
No.
Like, I think some people have been painting it as bad. I don't think it's bad. It's just really not explosive. They'll give you they'll take what you give them, but they don't create a ton of explosives or move the ball much beyond that. But if the defense is forcing a ton of turnovers, which they've done all year, and you give them short fields, they're going to capitalize. They're not going to get stopped. the 1 yard line like the Chargers did last week on fourth down. So I would think not. Now, last week was different. It was turnover central for the Houston Texans. They had a ton of fumble issues, some problems with the quarterback center exchange. Stroud threw some picks. He was not good under pressure. He was not good against the blitz, which has been the case all year. When they do turn the ball over, it's C.J. Stroud getting sped up. But the point is, you don't have the margin for error turnover-wise, specifically Drake May, that there was last week. So I know we still have 3 hours and 45 minutes to go. I don't want to give the whole show away right here. If the Patriots don't turn the ball over, I feel like they're in pretty good shape. I don't know, and I'm just using this. I feel pretty comfortable, even with the Houston defense. I feel like the Patriots can get to 21 points. I don't think that's unrealistic. I think they can. Can Houston get to 21 points without turnovers?
Yeah.
I without Nico Collins, like you mentioned, I really wonder. So, if we're going to take one thing from last week and pull to this week, to me, it's got to be better about the turnovers.
Yeah, you mentioned about this team, how they don't turn it over all season. I mean, they have one of the fewest turnover numbers of any team in the league.
Second fewest.
One of the things, I didn't know was that they
did not turn the ball over.
But one thing they did do, they had the most field goal attempts of any team in the league. They had the third or fourth most punts of any team in the league. They kick it to you a lot. They, I see that I mentioned the Patriots. You've heard a lot of ex-players say this all week on their podcasts and shows, end every drive in a kick. The Texans end every drive in a kick. They're punting a lot. They're kicking a lot of field goals. They're a poor team in the red zone. They're one of the worst in average yards per drive at like 28 yards or something like that. But they end every drive in a kick. They don't turn it over, and they make you go 80 yards every time. Well, 65, 70 yards, whatever it is. They make you go the length of the field, and they kick the ball a lot. So if you do what you're supposed to do, Marcus Jones is going to be busy. They should be punting a lot, but you have to capitalize. You can't give, like you said, you can't give them the ball in short field and allow them to do the other things that they do well on offense, and then that's when you're in trouble. But it's a great point by this team. They don't turn it over, and they don't sustain long drives. But if you give them an opportunity, they're gonna make you pay.
The other big thing, again, to kind of set the table for the show here, and if you listen to the Patriots Hub podcast this week with myself and Matt Dolph on Thursday, our game preview, you've heard this already. A lot of what the Texans do, and let me be clear, I think some people have said this week about the Texans. It's been perceived as an insult. It's not. What the Texans do defensively, there's really not a lot of. They don't do anything special schematically. They don't blitz a lot. They play a lot of man coverage. They just roll the ball out there and play. And to me, those are the teams that scare me the most. They can do it at a high level. You show me a 3-win team that does that, it's a terrible team. You show me a playoff team that does that, that's scary because they know, hey, we know what we're doing. You know what we're doing. Everybody in the building knows what we're doing. Everybody on TV knows what we're doing. And we're still going to do it because we have that much talent. We are so good that we can do it and get away with it and still beat you. The talent and confidence that comes with that kind of play style. So a lot of what you're going to hear us say today, or at least me, sir, and we haven't talked a ton about the game, but it's a lot of easier said than done. You know what you need to do to beat them. It's just executing it at a high enough level to actually beat them. That's the story to me for the Patriots today. And that, in a lot of ways, comes down to the coaching staff, getting these guys ready. I think this is a big game for the coaching staff. I want to get to that. We got a whole 4-hour show coming up, so we're going to break down this matchup left, right, and sideways. Taylor Kyles will join us later in the hour. Andrew Callahan will join us later in the show. Landry Locker, really good Texans reporter, Texans podcaster down in Houston. He's going to join us as well coming up to get the opponent point of view. So we'll see what he has to say about this game, plus your calls, 617-779-0985. Off and running on a 4-hour divisional round edition of Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
championship on the line to take on Jared Stidham and the Denver Broncos. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. If you want to join us, 617-779-0985. So I said before the break, in case you missed it, a lot of what the Texans do, especially defensively, is they do what they do. They don't disguise things. They don't spin the dial. It's really, we're going to play man. We're not going to blitz. They only blitz about 20% of the time. It's an especially low rate on first and second downs. Roll the ball out there. Line them up. Let's play. My guy on your guy, mano a mano. And they have success doing it because they're just incredibly talented. And I think for all that's been made of their pass rush, and I get why specifically in this matchup, given the Patriots' offensive line, their secondary is as good, if not better. And they've got good linebackers, too. Like, this is a real defense at all three levels. I can't stress that enough. So for the Patriots, to me, again, the theme of the day, easier said than done. Because if you know what they're doing, you know how to beat it. But you have to execute at a high level. You know, it's one thing to say, okay, we're just going to run man beaters. They play man. Well, you got to separate from Derek Stingley, a first-team All-Pro corner. Jalen Petrie, who I think is a super, super underrated player, really good player. Kamari Lassiter on the other side of Stingley, right? Like, it's, you know, you got to keep those guys blocked and on and on. So I think that this is a big day. Just there's not a lot of room for error. You can't have bad penalties. You can't get behind the sticks. You can't be turning the ball over. I think this is a really big game for the coaching staff, for Josh McDaniels. Not that he needs to get overly complex, but just getting everybody ready, getting on the same page, literally coordinating the offense. Like in the most literal definition, making sure the offense looks coordinated. I feel like this is a huge game for the coaching staffs around.
It is. I think it's a big day for McDaniels. I think this is why you bring him in. It's games like this, situations like this. He's been through all of it. He's seen all the defenses. He's seen defenses that doesn't they don't do much.
Yeah,
they don't disguise it because they have the talent to play whatever it is that they're in. I mean, the Seahawks, we know the Pete Carroll Legion of Boom. They didn't do much defensively, but you knew there was a bunch of all pros out there, and it made it impossible. And when you have a defense that's so good, so smart, even if they do, running the same thing doesn't get them burnt because you also don't have blown coverages. There's no blown assignments because everybody knows what they're supposed to do because they do it so often. So there's very few windows where you can attack them. I think you have to be patient with this team. You have to take what they give you. Making guys miss, I think, is a key. If you get a quick 3-yard pass, a quick screen pass, that's a slant or something like that, you make one guy miss, now you get your yards. You make somebody slips of bad footing, but you got to always be going forward. If it's 3 yards here, 4 yards, take it. I understand you want to take big shots. It's man defense, and it kind of baits you into challenging them, and you get burned. But if it becomes a punting contest, and so be it. See what you can do versus the guy who's been kicking in the dome all season. I mean, it's small things, but I think this team, the one way I think you can burn them is because you have a mobile quarterback. I think I would say struggled. They haven't been the best this year at defending mobile quarterbacks.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, because this was if you want to check out my game preview, 5 things on 98.5 The Sports Hub, they haven't been the worst team at defending quarterback. Oh, no, they have. They have been.
There you go.
In terms of yards per carry by opposing quarterbacks, it's outside of kneel downs. The Bills. We'll get to the Bills. Don't worry. The Texans have allowed 7.1 yards per carry. That's the highest in the NFL. In terms of scrambles, just scrambles, it's over 10 yards per carry. Now, they've had the fewest quarterback rushing attempts against. So there is a little bit of a volume thing there, and some of that is to scramble, you got to get away from these rushers. You got to get out of the pocket.
You got to make it out of there first.
But once you get out of the pocket, again, easier said than done. They do what they do. They play man. They rush forward. It's backs to the quarterback. It's rushing lanes open. Cerrone, you've heard me say this all year. People have called it, and they got to run Drake more. They've got to run Drake more. I've said, it makes me a little uneasy. I don't love it. I don't love the idea of it because you don't want him to get banged up, and you see what it does to a quarterback like Josh Allen late in the year when you rely on him to be a run game.
Bo Nix toss
Bo Nix, right.
running left.
Which was a weird call to begin with. They didn't need to do that at the time. But to me, this is the game. If there was a game, you were going to break Drake May's legs out and say, hey, like, kid, let it rip today. We know we've told you to be careful about it and be conservative with it. Let it rip today. Like, this is the game to do it.
Yeah, and you got to get down because these guys hit like no other team in the league. Get down.
Aziz Al-Shaair over the middle. I mean, he's a scary part of that game plan because he's not even making hits where you're like, wow, that, you know, they call that a penalty now. Like, it's crazy. And their hits like 20 years ago, that would have been a penalty.
Yeah, they really don't care. They're trying to lay you out, but you gotta get the yards and get down. I mean, late in games, I understand you're trying to win a game, you're trying to make a play, do your thing. And Drake Mays had that in him. That was an issue. That was a part of his thing when he was in college. He literally was like Gronk at quarterback. He would throw himself into a pile with no problem. He'd go flying over. He was crazy, but he has that in him. And this late in the season, I understand you don't want to hold anything back, but that's an advantage where you can take advantage of this team. And if you do it successfully early enough, because they're desperate and their backs are against the wall, they might break away from what they normally do to say, hey, let's take that away. Now you're leaving a guy in the spy, so somebody like that, Kyle Williams, to get behind those guys and make a play. But I think you just have to be patient with it. I think you can get to them. And this Patriots team, I give them credit. They haven't faced the greatest schedule, but they faced all the best pass defense in the league. Buffalo was a good pass defense. Atlanta, the Browns, the Saints are remarkably high as a pass defensive team, but they faced good pass defense, and they've come out on top in most of those situations. Drake Mays had great games against them, but hopefully it continues this afternoon.
617-779-0985 if you want to join us. We do have one quick call to get to. Mark in Medford. Mark.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call right away. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, in my opinion, guys, I think the NFL and the referees ruined that Buffalo-Denver game yesterday. There was no pass interference calls all day long. You called 3 of them at the end of the game. And I'm sorry, but Brandon Cooks, that was a catch. In my book, in my eyes, that was a catch.
All right, thanks for the call, Mark. We'll get more into this game later. So it's funny. I was saying to my buddy down the stretch there, because he's heard me complain. I've obviously complained about the refs a lot this year, just the process of it. And I was like, oh, they stayed out of this game. This is very nice. And then they didn't. I don't disagree with some of those calls though. And you know what the reality is?
Yep.
You don't want the refs to make bad calls. Don't put them in that position. You turn the ball over 5 times. I don't feel sorry for the Bills to any extent today whatsoever. No. That game was very winnable for them. They did not need to be in that situation. Josh Allen had the ball in his hands twice with a chance to win the game. And no, that, by the way, that was not a catch. That has never been when the same play was called a catch earlier this year with Marcus Jones and Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
People went nuts. It's not just because he has the ball in his hands and there's a freeze frame where his knee's on the ground. Tell Des Bryant that's a catch. He'd love to hear it.
Yep.
That's not a catch.
It's like Chris Carter years ago always said the best way you can tell if it's a catch is if you're the one getting up and giving the ball to the ref.
Correct.
It's that simple. If he lost that ball, and those were pass interference calls, by the way, at the end.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
The first one was iffy. They weren't calling a lot. I would have been okay with them keeping the flag in the pocket on that one. But you also had Bosa just clocking Bo Nix about 30 seconds after the throw. Right.
Yep.
So, which puts him in field goal range to begin with. I know it's not as many yards, but it puts him in field goal range that ends the game. So, no, the Bills lost that game. The refs, once again, the refs were bad. And I said this, by the way, when the Bills won here, to be consistent. The refs were bad. Bad officiating hurts the product. It's bad for the sport. I don't want to hear any Bills fans all offseason, you don't know, we would have won the rest. Blah, blah. No, 5 turnovers. The quarterback choked. The coach choked. The defense wasn't good enough. I don't want that to be an excuse for the Bills this offseason. Oh, and by the way,
put the ball on the ground 3 times too.
This is why I want to do it later. I want to do a whole segment on it. But real quick, I'll add on top of that. Sean McDermott yesterday in the press conference, I'm standing for Buffalo.
With the Buffalo.
Complaining about the refs. Do you remember when Mike Vrabel said something about the refs this year? Sean McDermott the next day came out and kind of ripped him for it. Quote, we go by what the officials call. That's Sean McDermott's own words.
The Carlton Davis play. That's what he was complaining about. The Carlton Davis pass interference said that would have gave the Patriots the ball back. Yeah. Yeah, the Bills benefited from a lot of those calls all season. A lot of iffy tush pushes and ball spotting situations that's been happening all year with this team. And, hey, you got burnt. But, again, you fumbled the ball that many times. And Cook is fumbling. Josh Allen is throwing the ball backwards, throwing interceptions. That deep ball interception's on him.
Yep.
And the reason the Broncos kept throwing it deep down the stretch on those last 3-4 passes, whatever it was, you stayed in the same man defense and allowed them to keep doing it. So, well, if they're going to keep hand fighting like that, keep throwing it down there and see if they get burned. And sure enough, you left your guys one-on-one on the island out there, and they got burnt by the refs. And if White doesn't make that pass interference play, if he doesn't wrap that guy up like that, that's a touchdown anyway. So, I mean, he had no choice but to do it. And then he takes his helmet off and gets mad out of frustration. Like, dude, you did it, and you did it because you got burned. That's on you and your team. You got beat. You lost.
That second one, clear PI. All right, we got to hit the break. Taylor Kyles joins us next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
Dylan, I'm going to ask you what I asked Cerrone to start the show. Obviously, you don't want to see injuries, and they're a tough reality of the sport, but just the reality of where we're in right now. You hope inside the building it doesn't change anything. They're full go all the way, whatever. You see the news of the Bo Nix injury last night. What was your reaction as it relates to the Patriots, and does it change the lens in which you view today's game and maybe the season as a whole?
I wouldn't say today's game because, I mean, you got to get through the Texans period. It doesn't really matter. But at the same time, while you hope that Bo Nix heals from his injury, and like you said, it's extremely unfortunate, it just feels like the AFC is even more wide open than it already was. I mean, the Broncos, if the Patriots are fortunate enough to beat the Texans and move on to the AFC Championship game, the Broncos defense is legit, right? I'm not saying that, it's going to be a walk in the park, but Jarrett Stidham has not thrown a pass all season. And as much respect as I have for him as a player, and, I had some fun watching him in the preseason with the Patriots, not exactly intimidating when you're the Patriots and have Drake May on your sideline. So I think if you're a Patriots fan, there's a part of you that's like, holy crap, they really could go to the Super Bowl. And, the Seahawks are a whole other problem. There's a lot of tough tests along the way. But again, wide open AFC with this unfortunate Bo Nix injury.
And with all that being said, the game today, do you think the Texans are looking at it and saying, hey, we got ourselves opportunity here? We get by these guys. We get Nico Collins back. We're back to full strength and going against the Jarrett Stidham team. Do you think this could be a boost for on the Texans sideline? Do you think they're coming out of this with a different approach?
I don't think so. I don't see how much of a boost it can really be. I mean, I think the same thing for the Patriots. Like, if you're not motivated enough for this game, then you shouldn't be playing. You know what I mean? Like, these are professional athletes. They're very self-motivated. Maybe there's some more excitement. There's a little bit of buzz, but I think these guys are just as fired up on both sides as they probably were before. All
right, Taylor, talk to me about this Houston defense. Underrated, overrated, fairly talked about? Like, how do you have them?
I don't want to say overrated, but I do think there are more holes and vulnerabilities than people tend to talk about. Like, this is not the Legion of Boom, right? This is a team that has two elite edge rushers. You got to take them seriously. Two or really three outstanding cornerbacks, depending on what you want to call Jalen Petrie, and a really good safety in Kalen Bullock. But at the same time, when I looked at the tape, I was seeing Derek Stingley losing deep kind of throughout the season to guys that aren't very fast or just have pretty good release packages or can win at the top of routes. I'm seeing their linebacker, a former Alabama player, Henry To'oto'o. He's gotten beaten deep by running backs, Ashton Genty and R.J. Harvey. So you're thinking Ramondre Stevenson or Travion Henderson could have some success there. And also in the run game, I think if you run right at their defensive tackles with good double teams, they are a very good run defense, but I think there should be an ability for this Patriots run game that's looked better by the week almost to be able to move the ball. So you got to make sure that you're chipping those edge guys, getting the ball out on time, Drake May protecting the ball if they do get to you, because the Texans are going to make their plays. But I also could see Drake May putting up 2 or 3 touchdowns against these guys, and I honestly do think the Patriots hit 20 points.
Which one of the Patriots offense, their phrases, their receivers, their running backs, their tight ends, which positions do you think has the advantage today? I wouldn't say a clear advantage. I don't think there's a clear advantage anywhere. But which group do you think can have the most success against this Texans defense?
In the receiving game, I'm looking more at the core of the formation. I think that the tight ends could have some success. Kalen Bullock, for example, again, I like him as a safety, but when he does get beat, a lot of the times it's guys crossing his face, whether it's crossing routes, posts. Trey McBride had a couple catches on him. So I think the tight ends and Hunter Henry could have a pretty good day. And again, the running backs, man, because this is a defense that wants to play a lot of corners, a lot of zone, they're going to get their depth. I could see this being a game kind of like last week where the running backs get a pretty good amount of checkdowns and are able to produce there, as well as I said, To'oto'o, if you want to target him downfield. So really focus on the core of this formation. I know this isn't tight in the running back, but Mario Douglas against Jalen Petrie is another matchup I think that could potentially go in the Patriots' favor. So maybe not a position group, but a position of the field I'm looking at. I think you maybe want to attack a little bit down there, but also along the sideline to keep some of those guys safe from the safeties over the middle.
All right, on the other side of the ball, again, we're talking to Taylor Kiles. He covers the Patriots for CLNS Media. Just how big of a loss is Nico Collins? And potentially, if Trent Brown can't go, is that a sneaky big loss?
Yeah, Nico Collins is a big one, man. That's the only guy I think in this Texans receiving core, wide receiving core, that really does scare you. I mean, Jaden Higgins is a good young player, but he is still a young player. And Christian Kirk is a very savvy veteran, but Marcus Jones is one of the best slot corners in the league. And with Nico Collins and Christian Gonzalez, at least that's a matchup where you figure there could be some battles back and forth, right? Nico might make his plays, Gonzo might make his. But I don't really know who makes those kinds of plays against Gonzalez. Now, maybe an Xavier Hutchinson or Jaden Higgins has a couple of big catches against, Carlton Davis. We know he's been a bit up and down, but he's also super competitive. So massive loss for this Texans team on the wide receiving core. And then Trent Brown, if he doesn't go, I think that severely impacts their ability to run the ball consistently because they've got some big dudes in the trenches, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot different when you have the 370-pound Trent Brown on some of those downhill blocks that they like to run. So Trent Brown being out is going to be massive, I think, especially for the run game if that does happen. But we know that Nico Collins isn't going to be out there, and I think that's going to put a cap on how explosive C.J. Stroud and that passing attack can be.
With the conditions seem like they're worsening with every report that comes out. Do you think that's something that will equal this, that will be an equalizer for this game? Or do you think because of the injuries and the situations on Texans offense, being a dome team being one of them, do you think this would really severely hurt the Texans style of play by being out in the elements today?
I think so. I think this is a team that wants to throw the ball. They did run the ball well last week in Pittsburgh, and I want to give them props for that. But that was more an anomaly for what we've seen from them. And like I said earlier, the Patriots have really gotten their ground game going since after that bye week. And the Patriots are used to playing in this kind of weather. Now, I will say Drake May, when he does struggle, it tends to be in wet conditions and windy conditions, so that's one to monitor. But even though C.J. Stroud has his experience at Ohio State, I used to live in L.A., and I've been back on the East Coast for like 3 years now, and I still have not adjusted. That cold hurts. So the injuries obviously also play a factor, but if it's going to be inclement weather, I'm looking at the Patriots to be the ones who capitalize the most.
I will add, looking at it right now, snow's supposed to pick up a little bit after kickoff. No, not supposed to be windy, though. Saying like 6 mile an hour winds.
Okay, that's huge then.
So
that's huge for Drake. And as long as they can maybe get themselves some chunk plays before the snow gets bad, get yourself a nice little lead, and then you can focus on the ground game a little bit more. That's the dream scenario.
That would be the perfect scenario, Taylor. Obviously, after the game last night especially, I think some people are going to be a little skittish maybe when it comes to running the quarterback, but the Texans, one of the worst teams in the league at defending quarterback runs, quarterback scrambles. How much of a factor do you want Drake May's legs to be in this game?
Look, I always think he should pick his spots. Like, if they're going to play a lot of man coverage against you and they're not going to have Azeez Al-Shaair spine, then for sure take off. But that being said, especially yesterday, man, I think the Patriots, that Mike Vrabel is showing Drake that clip and being like, yep, yeah, you want to run the ball, maybe you want to get active in the red zone, but this is why we don't do it quite as much. So, I do think he'll have a couple big scrambles, but I really would like him to do most of his damage from the pocket and throwing the football, not necessarily running it.
And for me, I guess it's a simple one. If the Patriots offensive line, if they hold up in this game, do the Texans have a chance of winning?
If the Patriots pass pro holds up, I think that they're able to put up points, and I think that C.J. Stroud honestly turns into a pumpkin. If they get into a situation where the Patriots pass rush can pin their ears back, I think that Stroud gives you some turnover opportunities because Drake May, pressured or not, he's going to do what he does. And we know he can have his off games where maybe for like a couple quarters, even a half, he might struggle, but then he hits the avatar state, and he's good. And I don't think, as long as you don't give C.J. Stroud clean pockets, I don't see him being able to do the same thing. So, yeah, man, if Drake May is clean all game, I think this could be a hard one to watch for Texans fans.
Oh, man, I got the local news on in here, and they're down at the stadium, and flakes are falling. I'm starting to feel it.
Okay.
Get those goosebumps. Here we go. Taylor, who you got in this one?
Oh, I got Patriots. I'll go, I don't love score predictions, but I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling like 21-24 to like 10. I think the Texans may get in scoring territory. I could see them getting an early touchdown or something like that, but I just don't think they have the arsenal to really keep up with the Patriots and what Drake May has been doing.
Besides Drake May, who's the one guy that needs to show up for the Patriots today for them to win this game?
Got to be Milton Williams. You got to control the trenches, especially in the middle, because they want to run downhill right at you. And C.J. Stroud is a pocket passer. If he has to account for Milton Williams' presence and feels that dude coming after him, I think that's going to be a huge, huge difference maker in this one. Plus, man, highest paid player in Patriots history, man. This is when you earn that paycheck.
Yeah, come up in a big game. I mean, if he comes up big, I've said this in the Boston media landscape of all places, to sign a contract that big and not have one person second guess it. It's kind of crazy how good you have to be to do that. That's nuts. But he's been that good. Also, Taylor Kyles is also that good, breaking down the New England Patriots. You can find all his stuff on clnsmedia.com, Patriots Press Pass on YouTube. Him and Mike Cadlick will have a ton down there today at Gillette. Taylor, thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in a little bit.
Appreciate you, fellas. See you later.
All right, man.
All right, Taylor Kyles, CLNS Media. Appreciate him tuning in again. We got a couple of guests lined up for you today on the 4-hour show. We'll have Landry Locker, really good Texans guy. Tells it like it is, really straight down the middle. We'll talk to him in the next hour. Andrew Callahan coming up later on in the program as well. There it is again. Seeing a couple of flakes on TV. A couple of flakes, not piling up yet or anything, but it gets you feeling. Look, I've been saying it jokingly this week, Cerrone. AFC South team coming up here. Quarterback that gets a little skittish in the pocket, in the snow. I've seen this movie before. And I would very much like to watch it again.
I tell you one thing, man. There's no way, if I'm an owner of a team and I see the advantages of the cold, to seeing what the Bears might be dealing with today, the Patriots situation, I'm not putting a roof on my stadium if I build a new one.
Thank you.
That's such an advantage. It's unbelievable.
I was so bummed I saw Washington put a roof on, and that building would look so cool without a roof.
Oh, my God, man. At least make it so you can open it and allow the elements to come in. But it's such an advantage if you have a good team. And if you get the team like the Rams come in, you're like, man, it's like playing at home for them. There's no advantage. There's no way I'm putting a roof on my stadium if I play in the elements. Not at all.
What happened to the league I love, man? It is a shame they are all going indoors. But looks like we might get some snow football today, so we'll enjoy that. We'll also enjoy your calls. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. Back at it next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. You want to join us, 617-779-0985. Let's go to your calls. We'll start with Jake in Boston, who has a theory on this game. Jake, good morning.
Well, first of all, before I get into the game, considering I've scouted Kennedy Stidham harder than any prospect you have, Barth, the real AFC Championship game is today. The person who personally sabotaged her husband's chance at being a starter 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, thinking she's going to become a megastar this week is going to be a lot of fun. But Houston, we have a big problem. They will play the Texans next week. And the NFL, and especially Roger Goodell, has really good reason to want it. And 2 years ago, the NFL had a great crossover with the Taylor Swift crowd. Friday, February 6th, the Friday before the Super Bowl, NASA is set to launch its first mission to the moon since 1972.
I think they're just orbiting this one, right? I don't think this one's landing.
Correct.
The
Artemis rocket is on the launch pad. So
Artemis
after
2, yeah.
After decades of hype, this is real. So the idea of a Houston team playing in the Super Bowl on Super Bowl weekend as NASA goes to the moon for the first time since 1972, and Roger Goodell, whose dad personally hated the space race and hated NASA and is a stain on Roger Goodell's life at this kid and a legacy he can't avoid, with the idea of turning the NASA NFL Super Bowl weekend. It's a thing. It is a big thing in Houston. The Patriots have a problem. The NFL has they want the Texans in the Super Bowl, and Roger Goodell really wants the Texans in the Super Bowl because he's got a chance to reshape his dad's legacy.
All right, Jake, thanks for the call. It's an interesting one. I would just say this. In terms of the marketable teams, forget the moon landing, which I do appreciate Jake bringing that up. I never thought I'd get a chance to talk about the Artemis program on 98.5 The Sports Hub, and here we are. So I do appreciate that. But moon landing aside, if we are going to go down that road, like, who are the most marketable teams left? They're losing big markets left and right. The Bills aren't a big market, but they've kind of become a national team. You know, the Broncos, but it's with Jarrett Stidham. They don't have their starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know how excited. Admittedly, I don't know how excited people are against the Texans. I actually like watching the Texans. I do. Because I'm one of the few people left who hasn't been sucked in by the fantasy football sports gambling complex that still likes defensive football.
Yeah.
But I think I'm in the minority on that, and I'll own that. You know, on the other side, the Bears are obviously, like, they're a great story. The Rams, they have the Stafford, the MVP, but we know that's not the biggest fan base. The Seahawks are solid, but, like, the Patriots are one of the biggest draws left, I would say, at this point.
The Seahawks are solid, but Sam Darnold isn't. There's nothing to really sell
it's
there.
Another injured quarterback.
They're right there, and he's hurt. The Patriots are by far, I think, the most marketable team left. I mean, you got LA market there with the Rams, but I don't think they're not a national brand. I would say. I mean, it's a big city. You're going to get a lot of eyes from that. But the Patriots are they check all the boxes. You know, it's a major brand team. It's a team people tune in to watch them lose. That's like the cowboy effect there. They don't want to see them win another one. You got the young quarterback who now there's videos circulating to him with talking with Jay-Z. You got the Stephon Diggs and Cardi B. They check the social media boxes. They check the sports box. Major city. They have everything. MVP candidate quarterback. They have everything. The cool head coach that's bleeding with his players. They had the owner. They have all that stuff. And that's what the NFL would want if it was about making dollars and bringing eyes to a Super Bowl. It's obviously the Patriots. Now, once the game starts, I don't think they care who wins, but getting them there, I think, would be more money. But for the conspiracy theories to say, they want the Patriots, y'all told me last week the NFL wanted the Bills and Patriots.
Right.
And yet here we got Bills fans complaining that the NFL screwed them. It's like, wait a minute, which one on Buffalo? They want the Patriots and they want the Texans because of the orbiting of the moon.
I think we have seen the last few years the bailout Bills be a thing, but certainly not last night. Let's grab one more call quick before the headlines. Kyle in Rhode Island. Kyle.
Yeah, hi guys. First time caller. Thanks for calling. Hey guys. You're welcome. Could you guys talk a little bit about the strategy for the left-hand side of our offensive line? little concerned based on the game of last week about how that left-hand side held up. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, Kyle. We're actually going to really get into the breakdown here of this matchup in the next hour. So we're going to hit these headlines, come back, talk about that matchup and some other key matchups in this game. Coming up 90 seconds, no commercials, just after these headlines here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Tell Your Tire Studios, WBZ FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Easily Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
It's the divisional weekend in the NFL, and the Patriots kick things off today hosting the Houston Texans. Pre-game coverage starts at noon right here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. Harold Landry is questionable for the Patriots. Everybody else is expected to be good to go. That includes cornerback Alex Austin, who was activated from IR yesterday. The winner of this game, they will travel to Denver to take on the Broncos in the AFC Championship next week. And that's because the Broncos beat the Bills 33-30 in overtime last night. However, not all good news in Denver this morning. Broncos quarterback Bo Nix suffered a fractured ankle late in that game. He is out for the season. Former Patriots quarterback Jarrett Stidham is expected to start for Denver moving forwards, again starting the AFC Championship next week. In the NFC, the Seahawks blew out the 49ers 41-6 last night in their divisional round matchup. That's half the NFC Championship set. The other half will be decided tonight when the Rams visit the Chicago Bears. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons have filled their head coaching opening. They hired former Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. The Celtics picked up a blowout win on the road last night, beating the Atlanta Hawks 132-106. Jaylen Brown led the way with 41 points. Big win for the Bruins as well, 5-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. Mason Lowry scored 2 goals in that one for the Bees. Sports Hub headlines are driven by the rugged Honda Ridgeline. Head to your local New England Honda dealers to learn more and see our lineup of rugged vehicles. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub, your next update at 10 o'clock.
Here's Pasternak, high slot. Right circle to Zaka. Sends one across. McAvoy shot, and he scores!
The Bruins play here. You're listening to Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your station for the best football coverage. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
And now with the pistol, tight end in the backfield as well. Snap to Stroud, play fake, quick throw down the middle, and it's caught by Stephon Diggs. A dart as he got behind Christian Gonzalez right down the middle and made the catch under the goalpost for a Houston touchdown. There is a flag down.
Yeah. Well, this is a crew you hope you never see again.
The flag is in the end zone. It may not negate the touchdown. It will interrupt the Houston celebration.
Ruling on the field is a touchdown after the score. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense, number 1. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the try.
He's known for that, for running his mouth.
That was last year when the Texans came here. Things got a little out of hand. They had Will Anderson had 3 sacks in that game. I forget, it was 4 or 5 for Houston as a whole. They blew doors in Drake May's first career start. It was, 3, 4, 5, 6 sacks for the Texans in that one. In a 41-21 win. 4 sacks, 6 sacks total in the game. It's going to be a very similar Texans team coming in here today. Mm-hmm. There are some changes. You just heard a Stephon Diggs touchdown. He's now on the other side. Their running game, which that's really what went nuts for that in that game.
Their running game was unbelievable.
Really well, but no Joe Mixon. He's hurt.
Dameon
Pierce, not even there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different. It's a Patriots team that's very different, though. So I don't know how much we take from that last game here and put it on this one. I think this is a new matchup, but that pass rush is still real, and that's what stands out to me. I said it earlier in the show, I'll say it again. It is about the Patriots not turning the ball over, and that starts by protecting Drake May. I think you help on the left side. Morgan Moses on the right. You got to count on your veteran to hold up in this game. I would have a quick hook for Jared Wilson. I probably, personally, if it was me. Now, I didn't just win 14 games, and I'm not the favorite for Coach of the Year. So what the hell does it matter what I think? If it were me, I probably would start Ben Brown in this game. Vrabel and this coaching staff this year have been very big on letting players play through things. Case in point, Ramondre Stevenson had the fumble issues early in the year.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted him benched, if not cut. Are they here without Ramondre Stevenson? Like, he's been awesome. So, and they were right on that. They were vindicated. Are they going to be vindicated again? We'll see. This has been what they've done. Used that 6 offensive lineman formation a lot. They started throwing out of it more last week, which I think was a good development, and they threw the ball well. The Hunter Henry touchdown was on a 6-0 line package. And I think you leave backs and tight ends in a chip. But I think it starts with neutralizing the pass rush. The defense as a whole is good. The rest of that defense, to me, does not get enough credit because of how good the pass rush is. But if you can neutralize the pass rush and let Drake May settle in, I think there's going to be plays to be made.
Yeah, I think there is too. I think they're going to have big play opportunities. And I think one thing that's going to help them in this game actually was last week. I think playing the Chargers and that defense, which is just a tick beneath Houston when it comes to overall defense. But I think where I gave the edge to the Chargers defense, Derwin James. I think he's a playmaker in the secondary. On the line of scrimmage, he's in the middle of the field. He's deep. He was everywhere, and I think he's the guy that makes you hold the ball when you're playing the Chargers. And I think the Texans, while their secondary is good, they don't have that guy in the middle of the field that just he's lurking. He's almost like somebody controlling a character. And we mentioned the Drake May with Madden thing. He's just a guy that lurks all over the place and just causes all kinds of problems, gets in the backfield. And I think the Texans don't have that guy, and I think that gives Drake May time to read and process what's going on and doesn't get the confusion like what the Chargers can cause. But I mean, they face teams that get a ton of sacks. They face guys that can get in their faces. So I think they're prepared for this. I just think they have to be patient. But I agree with you with the extra linemen in the game, 6 line, run the ball, man. I think Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson are set up to have a big game. Now, I don't think they're going to have a consistent 5 yards of carry, but I think the big plays are going to be there because I think they're going to try and go at these defensive ends and be proactive as opposed to reactive and be on your heels against these guys.
And if you run the ball well, it slows them up.
It does. It wears them out.
Now they've got to play more discipline. The one thing about that, though, where I'm at with the run game, and this is a common misconception, people think it's harder to throw the ball in the snow. It's actually harder to run if it's like accumulating snow.
Can't get your footing.
Right. So you have receivers with cornerbacks trying to keep up with them who are afraid to plant versus linemen who can't really dig in and running backs who can't really dig in. So I'm a little nervous counting on the run game today, not because of the players, just because of the conditions. But if they can run the ball, Cerrone, you're right. If they can establish the run early, it really is going to make Houston's defense uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I understand we saw this team last year. We saw what they did, but there's so many different elements. I think there's the Patriots team because of their balance, because they're good at all levels on offense. I think they're going to find a way to get enough points against this defense, but you got to take care of the ball. For some reason, this year in the playoffs, the astronomical amount of fumbles and turnovers is just unbelievable in some of these games. Yeah. You're seeing guys put the ball on the ground 4 or 5 times and throwing interceptions. That's incredible to me for playoff teams. These are supposed to be the best of the best, and yet guys are putting the ball on the ground, and one of them was Stroud. And I think you just have to do the basics on offense and do enough and get the ball back. And I think where they can capitalize, I think they're going to get a lot of cracks at it. They're going to get a lot of possessions, and that's how they get their points. Texas is going to make plays.
Yeah,
put it out there now. They're going to make plays, but if you get enough cracks at it, you're going to be able to put points at. Very similar to the game last night. The Bills put the ball on the ground a ton of times, turned it over 5 times, whatever, and they still was putting up points. When they didn't turn it over, they were scoring. You're going to be able to make plays because you're going to get more opportunities at it. And I think that's where the Patriots can really gain ground against this Texas team.
As much as we're hyping up this Texans defense, though, George in Florida disagrees. George, what do you see from the Houston defense?
Hey, listen, how similar was Cleveland and Houston's defenses? Are they similar? And also, just kick back, guys. We got this. Drake May, Graves, and McDaniels, man, the three-headed monster, the new three-headed monster.
Love it, George. Love the confidence. How similar are they to the Cleveland defense?
It's close.
There's some.
It's more one guy.
I think, it's more balanced. They have more playmakers. It's not a terrible comparison, though. So I will say this. The thing about the Houston defense that I wanted to get to earlier, a lot of people have talked about the matchup specifically between the ends and the tackles and one-on-one. Something that Houston does, like Cleveland, we talked about them moving Myles Garrett around a lot that week and how that could cause some hiccups for the Patriots, and they did. When Myles Garrett won that week, he kind of won all across the offensive line. He wasn't just rushing opposite Will Campbell. They will flip the Texans now will flip Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. And what they kind of do is it's Danielle Hunter off left tackle, Will Anderson off right tackle on early downs, and then when you get into obvious passing situations, they switch it. So I wonder if they kind of use that and try to see if somebody can find an advantage, get in a rhythm against one of these tackles, something like that. It also doesn't allow you as an offensive tackle to get into a rhythm. That is something to keep an eye on. That is kind of similar. Now, again, Cleveland only had one guy, but that can always, it's a variable being around and switching sides.
I think the comparison for me, when it comes to defenses and where they strengths and weaknesses, I think the closest comparison is the Saints. I know it sounds funny. It's like the Saints are a terrible team. So are the Browns. The Saints pass defense, they gave up less yards than the Texans. Sacks is about the same at 45. But if you remember that game against the Saints D-line was getting to Drake May. They was ripping his jersey and everything. But when they didn't get there, the big plays were there. That's when he really exploded. Pop Douglas, big plays. Keyshawn Boutte, play. Stephon Diggs with the amazing catch, what they called it, I think, offensive pass. I forgot, it was a controversial call on it. But when they didn't get the May, the big plays were there. But they were in his face most of that second half. And they caused problems in the pass defense. And I think their style of play, they don't have the superstars on the ends, but they were able to. The Saints got pressure all season, but they got to Drake May. But the times they didn't, the big plays were there. They were beatable downfield for the big chunk plays. But I think you can see a similar situation. Now, they were indoors in a dome where it's going to be snowing today. But I think the style of defense and where they're strong and weak at is similar to what they saw early in the season with the Saints. They got to May, but when they didn't, the plays were there to be had.
All right, you guys are filling the phone lines up. We're going to get more into this matchup coming up next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
Let those people convince you. Those people hate fun. It's Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle with you here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Get you ready for Patriots, Texans. I do want to break down this matchup a little more. We do have Landry Locker, who covers the Texans, joining us later in the hour. We'll get to your calls as well. But we did this exercise last week, Cerrone. I wanted to do it again so bad. When I copy and pasted it into the rundown, I didn't even change LA to Houston. But I assume you know what we're talking about here. I'm just going to go through some of these matchups and where we think the advantage is to break this down a little more. I know they don't play each other, but I think this one's important. And this is maybe more obvious than it was last week, which ended up looking very obvious last week. But who's the quarterback matchup?
Oh, you got to give the matchup to Drake May.
Correct.
Yeah, you got to give it to May. I mean, even with Nico Collins there, I still would give it to May. I mean, Stroud was his first year in the league. We thought he would be Dan Marino at this point of his career, and he's kind of gone backwards. Maybe changes his offense and things around him have shifted. He had a good receiving core when they were really rolling. Everybody got hurt, and I think that really slowed him down. But I think there's just something about him that just makes him just kind of melt in situations. I don't know what it is, but I think today in general, Drake May has the advantage, and I think it's a clear advantage, not because of his own just physical skills. The guys around him, the players around him, the impact players around him. May has guys that can spring big plays. We talked about it. Running backs, tight ends, and receivers can all break for big plays today. And I don't think Stroud has that kind of help around him in this case. So I got to give the advantage to Drake May.
The reason I wanted to bring it up is defensive game, weather game, all of that. What the game ultimately came down to last week, and I don't think Drake, he wasn't bad. He wasn't terrible. He did not play his best game, though. I would not say he played well. Justin Herbert obviously did not play well. But sometimes in the playoffs, every good quarterback's been through this. Brady did this.
Yeah,
sometimes
many times.
You're not playing well, but if you can just make the one or two plays that are there, it can be enough. And last week, when the one or two plays needed to be made, Drake May had a short memory, got himself together, made the plays. The scramble at the end of the first half, the touchdown pass to Hunter Henry were two monumental plays in that game that, without those, it's maybe the Patriots still win. It's going to be a lot tougher. Meanwhile, when there were plays to be made for Justin Herbert, he tripped and fell and threw up all over himself. So that was the difference in that game. And that's why I bring up the quarterback matchup here. Obviously, Drake May's an MVP candidate. CJ Stroud's had a down year, I know. But I just want to highlight the idea that if this game comes down to one quarterback needs to make one or two plays that the other one doesn't, I trust Drake May in that spot significantly more than I trust CJ Stroud. And that, to me, is the difference in the quarterback matchup.
Yeah.
The difference between May and Herbert last week was only a couple of plays. May was not better wire to wire, but that's the margin in the playoffs sometimes. And that can make and break a good playoff quarterback. And that's what I want to highlight. All right, when the Patriots have the ball, the Patriots rushing offense against the Texans rush defense, who you got?
Ooh, I think this is really close. I'm going to say the Patriots because it's multiple backs. It's a couple guys with two different skill sets that can burn you in two different ways. I understand you're talking about running the football, just flat out running the ball. I think it's the Patriots because I think they have guys that can bounce it outside. They have another guy that's strong in the middle of the field. They have two different ways of beating, multiple ways for their running backs to get you. And so I'm going to give them even though the Texas run defense is incredible, I'm going to give the Patriots the slight edge because of the versatility of their running backs in any situation.
I'm going to give the edge to the Texans because of the conditions.
Yeah,
I think the conditions favor the run defense. Like you said, it's very close, and I think that's enough to be a tiebreaker. But I don't think the Patriots need a dominant run game. They just need it to be there enough that the Texans pass rushers have to respect it. Speaking of the Texans pass rushers, and this is the matchup of the game. This is the strength on strength. Patriots passing game versus the Houston pass defense.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go offensive line, defensive line.
Well, like big picture.
All of it
that's
included?
Obviously a part of it, yeah. So I guess that's it. Is May and Diggs and Henry and Booty, is that enough to offset what Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter in the interior can do to the Patriots front?
I think it can. I think over time it will. I think they will have the advantage over time. And it's because there's nothing you would take away. Okay, you got Stingley out there, as all-pro corner. Where do you put him? Which guy do you put him on? Do you leave him one-on-one with Stephon Diggs in the snow? Do you leave him, one-on-one with Pop Douglas? Do you put him on Booty because it is deep? He's a deep threat. He can't cover them all. And I think they have so many different guys. We haven't even mentioned Kyle Williams or, Austin Hooper or whatever. They spread you out 5 wide. It's going to be a problem. Somebody's going to have an advantage. And I think May can find that guy. I trust Josh McDaniels to help him through that and drop some stuff to get guys free. But I think this Patriot receiving group, man, since September, they have been explosive. I didn't see this coming. I don't think anybody did. They've been explosive down the field. If you miss a tackle and it's a Pop Douglas or somebody running across the middle of the field, they're going to burn you. I've seen all these guys make plays downfield. And look, I think Stephon Diggs, I don't know the relationship when it comes to the Texans. I think he'll have a little juice to him playing a team that didn't resign him. Yeah, I think he knows those guys across from him. He's had one-on-one battles against these guys in practice. He knows their tendencies. So I think there's something to that. And I think this Patriots with the quarterback, with the running backs that can catch the football, the tight ends, and these receivers that can get downfield, I think the Patriots have an advantage when it comes to their passing offense.
It is going to be interesting to see how the Texans handle Diggs. There's been the Bills in the second matchup with the Patriots really made a point of taking Diggs away in coverage. Mm-hmm. And the Chargers copied that last week, and it worked both times. It's been a long time since Patriots had a coverage dictating receiver. It's great to see. The question becomes, okay, who's going to step up? Can Drake May and these other receivers make the most of it? Obviously, can Diggs beat doubles too is always an option. He's done it before. But how will the other receivers step up? Sneaky could be a huge game for Pop Douglas. Really good wide receiver against man coverage specifically. I give the X. Now, maybe the weather evens it out. I give a slight edge to the Texans. And that doesn't mean the Patriots can't make enough plays to win the game.
Yeah.
That pass rush is the real deal, though. And the secondary is very good.
And to your point with the Texas defense, I don't. And my point of giving the Patriots the edge, excuse me, I don't think they're going to beat them every drive. I don't think they're going to get off every first down and going to be able to go up and down the field. I think they're going to be able to make enough big plays here or there that'll put you in the scoring position, that'll get you 3 or might get you in the end zone. And like you said, you think they can get 3 touchdowns on this team? I think that's 3 drives out of the whole game. You just need 3 good drives that end in the end zone for this team. It could come off a short field from a turnover or something like that, but I think they have a chance to get a couple plays like last week where he hits Booty down the sidelines, for that big play, the Henry touchdown. A couple plays here and there, that'd be the difference, and I think that's where they can get an advantage on this team.
All right, on the other side, the Texans, when the Texans have the ball, Texans rushing attack against Patriots run defense.
I think they don't have a shot.
I'm with you, and it's crazy we're saying that from where we were 2 weeks ago.
I don't think they have a shot, and to be honest with you, I think this is not getting enough attention. I think the Texans in their situation with their injuries and, with Nico Collins being out, Trent Brown being banged up, even if he plays, he's still going to be a little sore. I think from their perspective, they're facing a defense that's going to look like the 85 Bears to them. Not saying the Patriots are 85 Bears defense, but the circumstances with the matchups, I think it's going to be really hard for the Texans to move the ball, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it on the ground because we see the difference when Milton Williams is there with this run defense. When he's there with him and Barmore, it frees up Landry, it frees up Kason. It just it opens everything. Robert Spillane back there,
and they're getting Tonga back today,
and they get Tonga. They're going to be able to just wreak havoc on that line, that banged up offensive line. And I think there's no, like you said, there's no Joe Mixon. There's no Dameon Pierce. These guys had almost 200 yards of offense last time you played them on only like 20 carries. That was a huge part of the game. I don't see that happening. And this team, they're terrible in the red zone. They're one of the worst teams in yards per drive, and that's when they're healthy. And now you're on the road in bad conditions against a D-line that's feeling it and can taste, success a couple weeks away. I think they're going to be fired up. It's going to be really hard for the Texans to move the ball on the ground.
Really quick, because we're up against it. When Houston wants to throw the ball, who has the advantage?
Man, it's what you pay Carlton Davis for. This is what you paid Marcus Jones for, and you got Gonzalez. Those three guys against a couple rookies and Christian Kirk, I think they're going to have themselves a day. It's going to be hard. And, again, conditions. Stroud is going to have to be accurate with the ball. If he's off the slightest, not saying these guys don't get a lot of interceptions, but I think they're going to be there to bat a lot of passes down to force some 3-and-outs. I think it's going to be really hard. Now, I think they're going to get a good drive, scripted plays early on, but as the game goes on, I think this Patriots secondary is going to really wear out this Texans offense.
It's Dalton Schultz. That's it.
Yes,
they're going to be able
big guy.
They're going to be able to take away the receivers. Woody Marks is not a bad pass catching running back, but Schultz is Stroud's guy, and if they can pressure Stroud and speed him up, and they can blitz him. He's not good against the blitz. You can blitz him, especially cover 0. I just think he's going to be in for a rough day. So those are the matchups. Let's get more on this next, though. Somebody a little more familiar with the Houston Texans, Landry Locker, joins us next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. Visit New England's largest Volkswagen dealer group at colonialvw.com in Medford, Wellesley, and Westboro. Check out their special
Well, I'm going to actually ask you the same thing I asked one of the Patriots reporters we had on earlier, because I'm curious how the other side views this. Obviously, you don't root for injuries, but they're a reality of the game, and the reality we're in. The Denver Broncos are going to host the AFC Championship with a backup quarterback, a guy who hasn't thrown a pass this season. What was your reaction last night when you saw that? And as a fan, how did that change the way you viewed this game today?
I mean, I think you got to look at it now as a 7-day opportunity. I mean, I know no one will admit it. I know that they're not going to say it. I know they're going to do the coaching hardo thing where they try not to downplay it. But I think at this point you look at it as this. I think both teams, both fan bases probably feel, this is pretty much for a trip to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they can't go lose to Denver, but I think if you watch that game and you get that news afterwards, I think that has to be the initial feel. Now, I wouldn't recommend players or coaches having that mindset, but what we think covering the team or what fans think, it doesn't really impact what the players think. But I think you have to look at it as just an incredible opportunity to get to the Super Bowl and really like a week as opposed to just the 3 hours that's in front of us.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I think the question I have for you is, how did the Texans feel about C.J. Stroud, about the turnovers last month? Not turnover, but him putting the ball on the ground as many times as he did last week. Is the confidence there from the Texans fan base, media, and that side of it about him going into Foxborough in these conditions today?
Not at all. And I mean, that's the real problem. And you watch a performance like that and you really just see the up and down of C.J. Stroud. Just even the mindset in press conferences, like he's very easy to read. I think when things are high, sometimes he's a little bit too high. We saw him doing basically every interview under the sun after the rookie season. And then last year, he mentioned he wasn't having fun and it kind of went down. This year was kind of in between. And since he's come back from the injury, he's been playing pretty good ball, but when you see someone do what he did last week, even though the quarterback here, I always say, is kind of graded on a curve because the defense is the straw that stirs the drink, it's a problem. The one thing I will make a note of, and I made a note of this as soon as he went down with the concussion, in 6 of his 8 first games, C.J. Stroud had 20 yards or more rushing in 6 of those games. Now, he even had 13 when he left the game against Denver with the concussion. Since then, in his 6 games, he has 20 rushing yards combined. So it does feel like since coming back from the concussion that him using his legs, which is something that Drake May does really, really well, him using his legs is it's not really a part of his game. And you watch the Indianapolis game, and it was kind of symbolic. There was a play on the first drive where he actually throws the ball 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, all the anticipation about how he's gonna use his legs, I think it's a little bit valid. Now, they've been able to win all the games, but I think even if you look at the turnovers that he had last week and how troubling they were, it was almost like he was just trying to get rid of the ball and not really get hit. So I do think that is a factor. I do think the elimination of his legs since the concussion is something to really, really make a note of. But I think we're to the point where you're going to have to do that in certain times.
And he's going to have to manage that down. One of his top receivers, no Nico Collins today. How much does that impact the offense? And who are you expecting to step up, or who needs to step up for the Texans the most with Nico Collins out?
I think it's obviously going to impact. I think this is the deepest wide receiver core that they've had in this round since C.J. Stroud has been there. The difference in stats is ridiculous. Last year, Diggs was out and Dell, and the year before Dell was out. But I would keep an eye on number 19, Xavier Hutchinson. He's come a long way in year 3 out of Iowa State. It seems like they trust him in big situations. And then Jaden Higgins, also out of Iowa State. He's had a really, really good season. I think it will be interesting from the Patriots' perspective how they use Gonzalez, because initially when Nico was in concussion protocol, it was the assumption, well, man, this might be a wash. So their best corner's out and Nico's out. I think it'll be interesting to see how they do that. But I would keep an eye on the 2 Iowa State guys. And Christian Kirk, I know he's coming off 144 yards last week, but I mean, his first catch last game was 33 yards. That was more than all but 3 of his totals in games during the season. So I don't know if that's really normal, but I would keep an eye on 19 and 81. Would be where I would be looking.
We're talking to Landry Locker. He covers the Texans down in Houston, does a great job of it. And I had Landry on last year before Drake May's first start. And I remember the take around here was a lot of people were nervous that Drake May was making his first start against that Houston defense, and could the Patriots have found a softer landing spot? And you were the one person who was like, you guys are maybe a little too worried about this defense at the time. And it was back and forth. May made some big plays. Houston certainly got to him a couple times, ultimately won the game. A year later, how do you feel about the matchup between Drake May and this Houston defense?
Yeah, I think the defense is a superpower. It's the straw that stirs the drink for the Texans. I think it's going to be tough for Drake May. I know this for a fact. I don't know how much it really factors in, and at the end of the day, it's just noise. But they're definitely aware of what was said about the defense being very simple and man-to-man and all that. I know the coach is aware of that. I know the defense is aware of that. So I think that might have fired him up a little bit more. I didn't think the quote was that bad, but sometimes, teams just try to latch on to anything. But yeah, they've come a long way since last year, and Drake May's probably come even a longer way. So I think it's going to be really what decides the thing.
On the offensive line for the Texans, Trent Brown's been out all week, missing out of practice. I think it was there Friday with an ankle injury. Is there any chance that he, is closer to 100%, or he sits out this one today?
He's good. We actually, I talked to Trent this week. He's fine. I mean, when you're over 400 pounds and you're older, the more off days, the better. But yeah, they list him at 380, which is hilarious. But when you're over 4 bills and you're older and you're all real familiar with him, it's as many rest days as you can possibly get. So he'll definitely try to go. He's been one of the pleasant surprises for the team. He's actually playing really, really well. But yeah, he's gonna play for sure.
When you look at this matchup, who's the one player for the Texans that really, outside of the quarterback, obviously, that really needs to show up for Houston to win this game today?
I think it's probably Azeez Al-Shire. They have a lot of depth at DN and they have a lot of depth at corner, but Azeez Al-Shire is kind of the guy who sets the tone on defense. He's one of the communicators. I think that's really where you gotta look and where things start with this team. So they don't have as much depth at linebacker, but I think if Azeez Al-Shire has a good game, I think that things usually go well for them. He actually missed the Raiders game, and Ashton Genty had by far his best game of the season, and that was a big part of it. So I would say Azeez Al-Shire is someone to keep an eye on.
And from the Texans perspective, what is the one thing that them and their fans are really leery of? What are the one things they're saying we can't let happen in this game today?
The offense. It's 100% the offense. I mean, I've been grilling Nick Caley all year. It's been kind of up and down. It's an entire side of the ball. And you look at what the Patriots have at offensive coordinator versus what the Texans have at offensive coordinator. And I know Nick Caley came from there. I know he grew up idolizing Josh McDaniels' dad. I know they worked together. And Josh McDaniels has been in these situations. So it's got to be the offense. They got to have a pulse. I don't think you have to set it on fire offensively, but that's going to be the goal. I said it. My theme was that I think Nick Caley kind of jocks Josh McDaniels, but he can't hold Josh McDaniels' jock in situations like this. So we'll see what it looks like, but it's definitely a massive mismatch experience-wise with the OCs.
Who you got today?
I got the Texans. I think the Patriots are a really good team. I actually think Mike Vrabel, the way that he's gotten everything out of this team, it's a better version of what 2020, 2021 Tennessee was, where I think they maximize their potential in the regular season. I think it's going to be a good game, but I will say this: if you're the Texans and you have the opportunity that we previously mentioned, and you have Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen watching the game at home, and you let a young quarterback like Drake May skip the line, as I put it, over C.J. Stroud, then all bets are off. And you're basically, I don't want to say the Patriots are playing with house money, but at this point, if you're the Texans and this is your third straight year with this quarterback head coach duo in this situation, you have a potential all-time defense, and you lose this, then it might just not be for you. So I'm going to take the Texans because of the defense, but there are a lot of mismatches that the Patriots do possess.
I got one more for you here. Talking to Landry Locker. Just remember this. So last week we had a Chargers writer on. It was supposed to be cold and nasty here, and we asked him about the weather, and he said the weather might actually be advantage Chargers, which was a surprising West Coast Southern team indoors. It's snowing right now at Gillette. It's supposed to be 3 to 6 inches of snow pretty much all during the game. How much does that impact what you think the Texans can do today?
I think the team actually I think defense can travel in those weathers, but make no mistake about it, we're not big cold weather people here. Like it's 45 degrees. It's 45 degrees with sun here, and I'm about to make a few trips, and I'm bundled up like it's freaking -5 there. So you can downplay it more you want, but when you live in Texas and then you get off the plane and it's snowing, it's not a fun thing. I think if we had that weather here, school would be canceled for a week. So I don't think you can necessarily dismiss it.
He is Landry Locker. He covers the Texans. He's all over the place for them. Locker Room, Houston Football, SNL digital beat reporter, does great stuff. You can check him out on social media as well, at Landry Locker. Landry, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the game today.
All right, appreciate it, fellas.
All right, we'll get back to your calls next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
It's win or go home today.
the Pike, Mike.
Hey, I'm here.
Hey,
how you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
It's a beautiful Sunday when your quarterback's Drake May. I don't know if I'm the only one, but last night when I'm watching the post game and Sean Payton comes on and says Bo Nix fractured his ankle, I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like, the stars keep aligning for the Pats. They got to get by today, but this, I think, feels like the conference championship. It reminds me of the Celtics a couple years ago when they won it all, when Embiid went down, Giannis wasn't playing good, and listen, you can only play the game the way the chips fall, but holy cow, this is feeling pretty good.
Yeah, Mike, you're exactly right. The 2024 Celtics comp is, I've seen that. And look, they don't put the strength of schedule up there on the banner. You hang the banner, you hang the banner. I don't know if you see any similarities there, Cerrone. That team obviously had been through it a little bit more. They had a championship loss on their resume before they ultimately got to that point. But, like, that's winning a championship. It's so much about just attrition. And you don't win the Super Bowl because you won that game in February. You win the Super Bowl because of the entire body of work throughout the year, and that can just include outlasting everybody else. We lose Cerrone there? All right, Cerrone's cutting in and out, so we'll grab another call here. Ryder in Peabody. Ryder.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey.
I just want to say I appreciate the analysis from you guys about the game today. But let's not overthink it here, all right? Drake May is going to lead us to the promised land. He's going to get it done. Yeah, we might not have seen a test like the Texans defense, but guess what? They haven't seen a test like Drake May. He is the truth, and he's going to lead us to his victory today, especially in the snow.
Ryder, how close do you think Drake May and Josh Allen are?
I think Drake May is a younger version of Josh Allen.
Okay. No, look, it's a good call. I love the confidence. Thanks for the call. They got Josh Allen pretty good. They did get – now, that was in Houston. They got Josh Allen pretty good. And you look at kind of what Texans fans have been talking about going into this game and some of their reporters, and they point to that game as a blueprint for what you're going to do, what they're going to try to do today. Now, the Patriots offensive line, we have our questions about it. It did not look good last week. The Patriots offensive line is better than Buffalo's. Absolutely is. So Drake should be more protected than that. He has better weapons to throw to as well. But I wouldn't say that the Texans haven't seen something like Drake. But I don't know, like the Texans defense is really good. You know, I guess you could say to the same side, Patriots have played a number of the best pass defenses in the league, some of the best pass rushes. Not as good as Houston, but like in the ballpark. So I think it could go both ways. But I guess let me ask you this, Cerrone. What is the bigger challenge? The Houston Texans defense dealing with Drake May or Drake May dealing with the Houston Texans defense? It's actually a very interesting question.
It is a good question. I think the Texans, if you go back and look at their season, and they've played a better schedule, a tougher schedule. But a lot of those games, they got the backups or they got the teams when they were basically, I'm going to say, season was done. For example, you play Cam Ward twice. When they played the Colts, there was Daniel Jones the first time. Then they had Riley Leonard. They played him. Then they played Geno Smith. Then they played Jacoby Brissett. They've played a lot of bad quarterbacks. They played the Niners, but it was Mac Jones. It wasn't Brock Purdy. They've played a lot of good teams, but those teams had backup quarterbacks or the season was over with. And they really stacked up against those teams. Now they played Trevor Lawrence at
all right, Cerrone cut out again. So grabbing there, you back?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I'm cutting out.
You cut out there for a second. Keep going.
But no, they played Trevor Lawrence. He scores 29 points. But that was Davis Mills having a miraculous fourth quarter, bringing them back against the Jags. But they've kind of feasted on some bad quarterback play. And yeah, they got Josh Allen. And that's the one that got everybody paying attention to them. But I think Drake May has faced more consistent elite defenses than the Texans have faced elite offenses and elite quarterbacks. I guess that's my point.
All right. Yeah, I can see that. It's an interesting question. 617-779-0985. Who has a tougher task? Drake May against the Texans defense or the Texans defense against Drake May and this Patriots offense? I want to get more into the Texans defense. Let's go beyond the pass rush too, because I think other players on this team get overlooked because of how good the pass rush is, and they have playmakers at all three levels, man. So we're going to get more into the Texans defense. We're going to take more of your calls, 617-779-0985. Just a quick check of the headlines here, no commercials on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Denver Tire Studios. This is Boston's home for sports. Touchdown! The flagship station of the Patriots, Bruins, the Celtics. WBCM Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station celebrating 65 years of broadcasting. Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
It's divisional weekend in the NFL, and the Patriots kick things off today, hosting the Houston Texans. Pre-game coverage starts at noon right here on 98.5, the Sports Hub, leading up to the 3 o'clock kickoff. The winner of this game will travel to Denver to take on the Broncos in the AFC Championship next week. The Broncos beat the Bills 33-30 in overtime last night. However, Broncos quarterback Bo Nix suffered a fractured ankle late in the game and is out for the season. Former Patriot Jarrett Stidham is expected to start in his place. In the NFC, the Seahawks blew out the 49ers 41-6 last night to clinch their spot in the NFC Championship. The other half of that game will be decided tonight when the Rams take on the Bears. Elsewhere in the NFL, more coaching news. The cycle continues. The carousel, I should say, continues. The Falcons have hired former Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski for their head coaching job. The Celtics picked up a blowout win on the road last night, beating the Atlanta Hawks 132-106. Jaylen Brown led the way with 41 points. The Bruins, a blowout win for them as well, 5-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. Mason Lowry scored 2 goals for the Bees. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Papa Gino's. New England's favorite pizza is now Drake May's favorite pizza. Drake's favorite is the plain cheese pizza, so in honor of number 10, when you buy a large cheese pizza from Papa Gino's, you can get another large cheese pizza for just $10. Drake May and Papa Gino's, the perfect New England pairing. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 11 o'clock.
Boston Talk Sports.
Drake May.
We all know what, but we won't say what. Yeah, worst take on these airwaves in the last 24 hours.
We may not take a call today.
The Sports. You're listening to Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your station for the best football coverage. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Is this the best defense you've faced?
Yeah, of course. You know, I mean, they have great talent, great scheme. They play hard and respect how hard they play. And they're just not only talented, but they have a play demeanor that I can appreciate.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. 2 hours down, 2 to go on an expanded 4-hour edition of the program, leading you into Patriots-Texans divisional round coverage. Mike Vrabel, he didn't give some kind of coaching answer. Oh, it's a tough league. There's tough challenges every week. Nope. Toughest defense they face. And I don't think he's wrong. And I kind of like that he didn't play the game. It was just like, no, these guys are really freaking good. Because he's right. It's going to be a challenge today. It's going to be a challenge for Drake May. It's going to be a challenge for this offense. It's not one I think they can't overcome. Mm-hmm. But this defense is the real deal. And I'm going to hammer this point home again. A lot's been made of the pass rush, and I understand why. But there are playmakers at all 3 levels of this defense. Azeez Al-Shaair gets to the football. He's a big hitter. Some would argue too big of a hitter at that second level. And in the secondary, they've got an all-pro corner, the first-team all-pro corner, one of the first-team all-pro corners back there in Derek Stingley. Kwame Lassiter is a really good corner as well. Jalen Petrie he kind of plays a hybrid slot corner safety role for them. Again, a guy that can get his hands on the football, is one of their best defensive playmakers, plays much bigger than his size, 5'11", 198, but can tackle running backs in the open field, can cover tight ends. I mean, they've got guys that can make a difference at all 3 levels. It's not just about if you beat the pass rush, you're good. There's still going to be opportunities. They're just like last week, good defense, surprisingly susceptible to the deep ball. So there's that. They do commit some penalties, but it's not beat the pass rush and you're just in the clear. There's playmakers at all 3 levels that the Patriots are going to have to deal with. And they're not players, especially a guy like Petrie. He's not a guy that's going to just take away what the offense is doing. He's going to go out and make plays for his defense.
Do you think this team, are they disciplined? What I mean by that, can you see them being burnt by flags, pass interference, holding, playing a lot of man defense, all eyes on them. Do you think similar situation with Doom Buffalo at the end of that game last night? Do you think they could draw personal fouls with the big hits, late hits, helmet to helmet? Do you see this as a disciplined defense?
So Al-Shaair, even though we'll call it what he's a dirty player. He's the kind of guy that you love him if he plays for your team. You don't want to see him. I mean, some of his hits are, and look, he plays the way he plays. He plays physical. He plays to win the game. I get that. Mm-hmm. He's only been penalized twice this year. I was looking that up this week, which is kind of surprising. They are, towards the top of the league in penalties. I think they've had a number of decline. No, they are 6th in the league. And they were 6th in the league in the regular season penalties with 124, tied with Philly. For me, I honestly don't think of them that much as like this high-volume penalty team, although they clearly are. But it's like in moments. I think if they get burned by penalties in this game, it's going to be a bad mistake in a big moment versus just a barrage of flags.
I think with this team, this Patriots offense, I know they're facing a tough defense, and they know the situation facing a tough defense now as opposed to in November or something like that is different because this is it. You lose, that's it. But this season, in game Drake May, he was sacked 6 times by Atlanta. He still had a rating over 100. He was sacked 6 times by Cleveland. Rating was still 135. The Chargers got him. He got 5 sacks last week, whatever. 5 sacks in the game against Pittsburgh. He lost that one. Tennessee got to him 4 times. But in these games, he's been sacked 4 more times. I think they're 5-2 or something like that as a team. And his rating is still over 100. And I think because he's taken a beating so much in the early part of the season, because he's been through a pressure of being sacked, forced fumbles was an issue for them early on. Pittsburgh, we questioned, was this going to be a problem all season? I think because he dealt with that so much early on, I think the fear of, man, what if they sack me 4 or 5 times? I think he's kind of over it. I think it won't matter. And I think the key is they're going to get to him. It's when. Are they going to sack him on first down and now it's 2nd and 12? Are they going to sack him on 2nd down and whatever? But try not to be affected on 3rd down. I think if you give up a play on 1st and 2nd down, you can live for another down. But it's when the sacks come, the point in the game, situations, and I think that's the key here. I think the Texans have been good at not just getting the sacks because there's teams that have more sacks than them. It's the timely sack. It's the 3rd down. It's getting off the field. It's in the red zone. And I think those are the plays that the Patriots have to avoid.
I will say, though, you talk about like when the sacks are going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of conservative on 1st down and we see some 1st down runs because you don't want to get into a 2nd and long, 3rd and long where they know you're throwing and the pass rushers can pin their ears back and come at you. You want to be in 2nd and medium and 3rd and short, and you beat this defense, I think, by going incrementally. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're a little conservative to start downs, to start drives, just so they're not putting themselves behind the sticks early. Let's go back to the calls here. Let's go to Tony in Canada. Tony.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I hear it's going to be really nice weather today in Foxborough. That's good. Yeah. No, I checked the weather conditions. Would you guys consider that cold weather?
Yeah.
Okay, because here we jump up and down for joy when it's that warm. But, no, did you guys see that game? Do you recall the game Buffalo versus the Bengals?
Yeah, the snow game. Yep.
Yeah. Are you guys? And I think you guys are getting snow as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot like that. So definitely the weather conditions are going to favor the offense. You might remember, too, I called a few weeks ago, and I mentioned Brady talked about when it gets really snowy in Foxborough, the pass rush is not nearly what it would be normally.
Yeah.
Because he described it as a pitter-patter. So footing will be very important, that they get the right kind of cleats so they don't slip on the field. But it definitely favors the offense. Defense doesn't really know exactly. It's that first break, So if say you're running a play, you know where you're going. The defender doesn't. Just that first break that you make, you have the edge, and the offense can't really get a good push up the field. The offensive player, so it has a big advantage for the defense. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And are you guys going to continue doing the show after the season is over?
Yes, we will. We will run through the draft. Thanks for the call, Tony. I appreciate it. We will. That's the latest I've been told. Yeah. We will run through the draft like we usually do, and then last couple of years we've been off in the summer. I don't know if that's still the case, but definitely through the draft. No, he's right. The snow helps. If Drake May can handle the snow and the ball security doesn't become an issue for him and the grip doesn't become an issue for him, it does help him because he's going to get more time in the pocket. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I look for guys like a Stephon Diggs who played in Buffalo. Yeah. He played his early part of his career in Minnesota, so he was in Green Bay, he was in Chicago, multiple times. A guy like him, I think, could be a decent player in these conditions. He knows what to expect. Keyshawn Booty's been there for a while. Pop Douglas has been here. They've seen conditions or whatever. Yeah. I think they're gonna have their way. They're gonna have some kind of advantage, some experience in this type of conditions. But again, the quarterback hasn't. He's been the one guy that hasn't been in this a lot. And a North Carolina kid, I know he's been in the cold. He's been up there a couple of years. But this situation would be, I think, unlike anything he's dealt with. But I think his coaching staff they've seen all of this. And I think they will have him prepared for this and prepared for this moment. And like, you know what? I don't trust him 5 wide too much in this. Let's run the ball. Let's kind of get it out of his hands a little bit. Let's drop something quick so he's not standing there holding it. And I'm pretty sure ball security is the one thing they worked on a ton this week heading into this matchup. Maybe
the old Bill Belichick put the footballs in the cold water during practice, that kind of thing. Patty in Agawam has a thought on Drake May. Patty.
Hey, good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good.
So, I wanted to go over a couple things. The first thing is I think we're going to get the Drake May that we've seen 95% of this year. By my standards, I don't think he had a really good game last week. And I think usually when he doesn't have a good game, he follows it up with a very good game, regardless of who they're going against. Cerrone made some really good points, I think, with them playing some elite defenses this year. And this, to me, this is no different. I also wanted to ask a question. Do you guys see them coming through with a big special teams play? I think that could be huge in a game like this, especially with the weather. And I'll end on this. The Bills are never going to win a Super Bowl. This was their year. This was their opportunity. And and listen, the play before the Cooks play, if Allen hits Hardman in stride, the game's over.
Yeah.
He either takes it to the house or they're in good enough field goal position. The guy chokes. He's a big choker. If I'm him, I'm asking for a trade out of Buffalo because he may win a Super Bowl, like you said before, Alex, just not in Buffalo. That's all I got, guys. Let's go. Oh, and by the way, I got the Pats winning 27-16 today. Let's go.
Thanks for the call, Patty. Yeah, by the way, Tony Romo drooling over that throw. Let's not forget that.
The Kincaid, the one that he missed Kincaid, that's it.
Yeah. He said something else there that, Drake May bouncing back. This is what he's done all year. He has a bad game. He follows it with 5 good ones.
Yeah.
So let's see if he can bring that again.
And real quick, I think we were focusing so much on Drake May and what he has to do, whatever. Remember the complaint all season from non-Patriot fans were, well, he isn't throwing for 300 yards. They won games without him stacking up major yards. And I think in the playoffs, we've seen this not only from Tom Brady, but Patrick Mahomes has a ton of great playoff and Super Bowl wins where he isn't throwing for major yards. He just took care of the ball, made the plays when they were there, and allowed the other team to throw up on themselves. Brady did a lot of that in the early part of his career, and the quarterbacks that were putting up the big yards were the ones struggling a lot because they turned it over a ton. I think Drake May can win this game. The Patriots with Drake May can win with him sitting around 200 yards passing, 175, 200, maybe 50 on the ground or something like that. And he doesn't have to throw it 45 times. I think you could just play the game safe and make enough plays defensively to where you can win this game. So I'm not looking at or hoping for Drake May to go out there and put 300 on the Texans, because if I think he does, that means he was losing and trying to play catch up late in the game and trying to find a way to score.
As long as he does not turn the ball over.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to, as long as he does not turn the ball over. We talked a lot. We spent half an hour here or more on the Patriots offense versus Texans defense. Let's go on the other side and revisit that, dig a little deeper into that matchup. Can the Patriots defense maybe have the day everybody thinks the Texans defense is going to have? We'll discuss that next. Plus your call, 617-779-0985 here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
but then went to L.A. and worked with the Rams and got some of that McVay taste. So it's interesting because Josh McDaniels' offense this year has added some of those West Coast elements. You have guys come in like Thomas Brown, the pass game coordinator, the tight ends coach, who's been adjacent to that system, and kind of the same thing in Houston, where, all right, it's McVay with some McDaniels mixed in. That's definitely an interesting combination. Is it enough, though, to elevate them? This is a Texans offense, and this is what I've said all week. They're not bad. A lot of people have acted this week like they're incapable. I don't think they're incapable. They were 13th in the league in scoring. They are one of the lower-rated playoff offenses, but that's teams that make the playoffs, right? They're average. They're very middle of the pack.
Yeah.
They are definitely bolstered by the defense. They have the second-best average starting field position in the NFL. They get a lot of turnovers. They have one of the highest rates of points off of turnovers, like converting drives off of turnovers to points in the NFL, but they have one of the lowest rates in scoring touchdowns off of turnovers. So I forget if it was Taylor or Landry earlier who mentioned the field goals. They kick a lot of field goals basically off turnovers. They're not always able to capitalize, but they're not bad. That being said, they'll be without their number one wide receiver today in Nico Collins, and they are coming off, turnover-wise, their worst performance of the year. So to me, this game is about C.J. Stroud. Can you pressure C.J. Stroud? Unlike Herbert, and they ended up blitzing Herbert in the second half last week, but they waited, I think, because he's been good against the blitz, and they didn't want to test him like that. And then once they saw in the first half what their coverage was doing to him, they said, all right, blitz him. We have him in a blender now, whatever, send the house. C.J. Stroud's not good against the blitz, and he's not good against pressure. I think it's about blitzing him, getting home, getting that pressure, and hoping that the turnover numbers go back up again. They only had 12 turnovers the whole season. And then they had 5, right? 3 last week. So quarter of the turnovers they had all season, they had last week. It's about getting pressure on Stroud to me and then forcing turnovers off of that.
And when Stroud was out for 5 or 6 games that Everett Davis Mills was in, he only threw 1 interception. He didn't turn it over either as a backup. And that was the key for them keeping it going. So they're very disciplined offense. They don't make a ton of mistakes. But I think the Patriots D-line, you saw when Milton Williams is back in the game and they get you on third down situations, look at the amount of sacks that were avoided because Justin Herbert used his legs. He was scrambling. He was running. I think C.J. Stroud, I don't know if he can move like Justin Herbert or has the strength of Justin Herbert, even though he had the bad hand or whatever. Now, you're dealing with offensive line. It's better than what the Chargers were dealing with. But I don't think the receiving group I don't think you're as afraid early on as you were against the Chargers. Ladd McConkey smoked you last time you saw him. And they have, better guys on the outside with the Chargers. But I think this Texans team, because it's kind of an unknown, one of these rookies could burn you. Their tight end can burn you. Their running backs, if you let them break one, they can get to you. But I think this Patriot D-line, they have to get to Stroud. They have to get him off his spot. They have to make him slightly inaccurate because it's a game of inches. You throw in the conditions and him throwing the guys he's not, I won't say used to, but not his number one guy. You're trying to make it hard on him. But these are good professional football players, and sometimes all it takes is for you to get burnt once, a couple big plays here or there. I think you mentioned it a couple weeks ago, that loss to the Ravens, and Flacco, I think, had 90 yards passing. But it's make the plays, don't turn it over, and just kind of play good defense. This team is still capable of doing that, so you have to be careful. And you don't want to just say, Stroud's missing his guy. Let's just send the house for him, because now you're allowing someone else to become Nico Collins in this big moment. Like last week, the way Christian Kirk went off. You don't want that happening to you like what happened to the Steelers. And they're capable of doing that. And I think you have to respect your opponent and don't go out there and get burned being silly.
I trust the Patriots cornerback matchups, though. Like Marcus Jones on Christian Kirk, I think is advantage Patriots.
Yeah.
And obviously Gonzalez and Carlton Davis on Jaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson, whoever it is. I like that matchup, too. The one guy that kind of scares me, Schultz, because tight ends have been a problem for them all year, and he leads the team in catches, and the whole thing's probably going to funnel through him when they throw it. The other thing, because I think this is such a big game for the front, like you said, in the pass rush, and what version of Harold Landry do they get? Does Caleb on Chason dig back in? Obviously, the interior guys. They do have to take away the run, and if you can get in situations where the Texans can't run, kind of like we talked on the opposite. The Patriots can't be in second and long and third and long because it's going to help those pass rushers. The Patriots putting the Texans in those spots. The Texans' run game has run hot and cold this year. It's had its moments, and there's been games where it's kind of been non-existent. They come in hot. Woody Marks just had his first 100-yard game of his NFL career. He's probably going to be the guy. He can play in the passing game a little bit. So the run defense, too, it's like, okay, we wondered for a few weeks there, is the personnel coming back? Is that going to be enough to fix it? And last week it looked like it. Texans have a better run game than the Chargers. They have a better line. Not by much, but they have a better line. So you're looking at Milton Williams, Kyrus Tonga coming back, Robert Spillane. They're elevating Leonard Taylor again, who I thought played well last week. Can they stop the run and put Stroud in spots where it's obvious he's going to be dropping back? It's obvious he's going to be throwing and they can get the pressure on him. That's another big key here today.
Do you see a situation to where the caller made a good point about special teams, fielding punts, making field goals? Could you see that being a problem for either? I know Marcus Jones is a great return man.
Yeah.
Could you see that being an issue for either team and being deciding factors? Can Borregales, who comes from Miami, can he kick footballs in the snow? You have, I can't think of the kicker's name from Houston. He's been pretty good. Fairbairn, he's been good all season. He's kicked the most field goals. He's got the most in-game experience, but he's been kicking in the dome or whatever. Could you see that being a major issue? I know the wind isn't an issue today, but could you see the special teams being a major factor in this game?
Yeah, anytime you have footing being an issue, special teams is going to be an issue. This might be a game where you're more aggressive in going for it in some situations.
Good point.
Borregales can hit a 50-yard field goal relatively easily. That's great in neutral conditions. That's not to knock him. I think you'd say this about any kicker. For Borregales, it's that test. We talked about it at the draft. Can he kick in cold, inclement weather? And it's something that you can't really evaluate, can't even really practice. He's just going to have to show up and do it when it's time to do it. He hit that big field goal week 18 against Miami. It was cold, and he's kicked in the rain. This is going to be another level, and you hope some of those days earlier this year where there was snow, maybe he got to go inside and get some practice, but you're never going to really know until you know. So,
yeah,
it's a good point. Special teams is absolutely going to be a wild card in this game.
Real quick with the special teams. Last week, did you think Marcus Jones was a little funny on fielding some of those punts where he could have fair catch a couple of them, but tried to be slick and I would say he almost got himself blown up a couple times. But could you see him being a little more risky today or being really conservative, therefore limiting his big playability as a return man?
I think more conservative. So Jeremy Springer and even Vrabel have talked about this quite a bit this year, that they just have such a level of trust in him to make the right decision in those situations and to catch the football, frankly, they trust him in those moments, right, to do what's right. And so you see him catch some punts that the average punt returner wouldn't catch because he has an ability to do that. And whether he's fair catching or not, there were moments last week in what's a field position game, he's catching the ball at the 5 and maybe only getting it to the 12. I don't think that was exactly it. I'm pulling it off the top of my head, but that saves you yards. Just catching the ball instead of letting it roll saves you yards. And I think that in what could be another big field position game, they might be more aggressive with him, having him try to catch some of those punts to save that yardage. But I don't think you're going to see him be they're going to be fair caught. I don't think you're going to see him as aggressive returning those.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something I was thinking. It's another element to the game when you add the elements to it. That is something that could come back and get them. Now, I would say some situation on the other side with the Texans. They've returned guys, and they haven't returned a lot of punts in these conditions either. But I'm pretty sure they've worked on it. They've talked about it all week, but being in it is a different situation. But I think this Patriots special team is a good unit. They have returned kickoffs and punts for touchdowns.
Yeah.
Their kick has been solid. Their punt is good. Their gunners are good getting downfield. I think this is a good special teams unit, and I think it will be a major factor in the outcome of the game. Not so much as turnovers, but just the field position game. I think the plays will be had there by the Patriots special teams.
All right, 617-779-0985. You want to join us? But coming up next, Andrew Callahan, the Boston Herald, joins us to break down this matchup on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
Nelson's.
if I can recall our conversation during the week, you got a little weather update for those of us here in the studio. Can't look out a window?
That is correct. We have light snow falling, Alex. We got temperatures in the mid-30s and playoff football on the horizon, so everyone stay cozy, hang in, and get ready for 3 o'clock because this should be a fantastic Sunday, whether you're inside or out.
I love it. I'm going to ask you the same thing I've asked our other guests this morning, just because I think it's important in the context of today's game. You get done watching that game last night, you see the update about Bo Nix. Obviously, nobody's rooting for injuries, but they are a reality of this game, and this is the reality right now. The Denver Broncos are going to host the AFC Championship with a backup quarterback, a guy who hasn't thrown a pass this year. Does that change, or how does that change how you look at today's game, and what was your reaction when you saw that?
I mean, look, I think the stakes are higher, right? Because whoever wins today is the favorite to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Now, being the favorite does not guarantee you anything. I think anyone who's watched the Patriots for 10, 15, 20 years would tell you going to Denver in the playoffs does not go well for this franchise. I would then tell those folks that, hey, look, those demons are past. But the point is, a couple of those times, the Patriots expected to win and had the greatest quarterback of all time and the greatest coach. So nothing is a given in the playoffs. I would just caution folks to say, look, this is not a failure. This is not a loss if they lose today. Bo Nix being hurt doesn't make Will Anderson or Danielle Hunter any less menacing or a threat to end their season today. This game is independent of that, but we all understand that when Bo Nix went down for the season, the Patriots' chances of making the Super Bowl went up.
I think with this team, I guess the question I ask you is where are the weaknesses that can be exploited against this Texans team? Do you see a situation that I'm trying not to be overly excited because I think they can really put one on the Texans, but where, outside of turning the ball over, where can the Texans, really take it to this Patriots team and take away what we've seen this team do for 18, 19 weeks or whatever it's been so far?
So we're talking about weaknesses of the Patriots, Cerrone?
Yeah. It's where can the Texans really exploit this team outside of the two edge rushers?
Yeah, look, it's going to be in the back end in man-to-man coverage, and this is something that the Patriots struggle with as recently as last weekend against the Chargers, who didn't play a ton of it, but played enough where it could have and should have been a problem because Drake May had one completion against man coverage, and he took 3 sacks. So I think there's some things the Patriots can do to tweak that because the Texans are better at playing man than the Chargers were. And you're going to need a little bit more out of guys like Stephon Diggs, Josh McDaniels to scheme them open versus man. And I'd like to say, because I wrote earlier this week, Demario Douglas, who has the second most catches among all the receivers against man-to-man coverage. So look, their problems are primarily going to be facing one of the best defenses in the league. That's no surprise. And it starts up front. They might not be able to run on the Texans, even in the snow. They might not be able to pass protect beyond a 3-step drop. But the problems don't end there because their receivers have to get open, whether it's with a little schematic help or just one-on-one on their own.
You mentioned Drake May and the offense struggling against man last week. Also had a couple turnovers, something else Houston is very good at, taking the football away. We've seen Drake May this year and he's not immune to mistakes. He's a second-year quarterback, but what's been so impressive is small mistake, big mistake, whatever it is, we'll spend a week talking about, well, Drake needs to be better at this, Drake needs to be better at that. Seems like just about every time he's come back the next weeks, and been better, and at times turned a weakness into a strength. How much do you trust against such a tough defense, Drake May, to turn around some of those issues last week and correct some of those issues and maybe even turn them into strengths in this game?
Yeah, we'll see, right, Alex? Because he could play better today, and you might have a similar statistical performance just because the level of opposition he has against the Texans goes up. Again, this is a defense that is as good as the Seattle one that we watched last night, dismembered the 49ers in a historic blowout. So they do it differently. This is we're going to tell you what we're in. We're still going to kick your ass, and we're going to rush for them. We're not going to blitz. We're not going to disguise. So, look, again, Drake May can fix those things and still have a hard time. And that's also going to depend, of course, on his teammates, right? If Will Campbell has a bad day, that to me would be just as problematic for the Patriots, honestly, as if Drake May does. Because then they have to change their game plan, certain schematics. It's going to lead to a turnover, a strip sack, interception. But Drake May, I have confidence in, and I think it's a good thing that today is his second playoff game in the snow as opposed to dealing with the weather and the stakes all at once.
do you see a situation where, as this game goes on, if the left side of the offensive line is really, really struggling, that they go back to the left side that was in when Campbell and Wilson were out with more of a veteran, larger, I would say, group on that left side? Could you see them saying, you know what, this isn't working, we got to win this game? Could you see them making a move on that left side of the offensive line?
Only at left guard thrown, I think it would have to be really an abject disaster, because there's one piece of Jared Wilson who's largely been, I would say his play has been on level with what we saw from Ben Brown when Ben Brown had to come in. So there's not a huge drop off, and that's a good thing. Except he's much more athletic than Ben Brown, and against perhaps the fastest, most physical defense in the league, or certainly the fastest the Patriots have faced, you really need those guards to get to the second level to erase those linebackers, because that's your only hope for an explosive run. Like, the Patriots are not going to get explosive runs because Ramondre Stevenson broke 3 tackles all at once. The Texans don't miss that many tackles. It's going to be you got to the second level before they got to Ramondre Stevenson. I think that's something with Jared Wilson, who could give up 2 sacks and get pulled, don't get me wrong. But I think they're going to give him time just like they have all season, because, frankly, when he's played, he's earned it.
Again, we're talking to Andrew Callahan. He covers the Patriots for the Boston Herald. How about on the other side of the ball, Andrew? The Steelers, very good at not turning the ball over this year, only had 12 all season. Last week, 3 giveaways against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Stroud was under pressure pretty much the entire night. Can the Patriots replicate, do you think, what the Steelers did to the Texans last week?
I think so. And it starts with blitzing the hell out of C.J. Stroud, which, frankly, I think is going to be as obvious a game plan as you see from the Patriots this season. Now, maybe they bluff it early, but I think they're going to get to it, not just because, Stroud is down Nico Collins, so if he's going to throw it up one-on-one, like, if you're the Patriots, you trust Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis versus Xavier Hutchinson, and Jaden Higgins. It's the fact that the blitz was really good to the Patriots last week, and that was before they had Justin Herbert in a headlock and just got to tee up on him. The blitz has been really good to them on early downs to put teams in 3rd and long, where over the last 5 weeks, by EPA per play, no defense has been better. So the Patriots have kind of found this identity with blitzing. Even though Stroud's numbers are like okay versus blitzing on the whole, they're not good when Nico Collins is off the field. That ultimately was a big factor in how I saw this game, and I think that's where it's going to show up. High leverage situations and what happens, because C.J. Stroud's pocket presence has really, really fallen off. Frankly, since his rookie year. So even if they don't get home with a hit or a sack, the blitzing, I think, is going to wear on him mentally, and you'll start to see mistakes like you did against Pittsburgh, provided they get home with those blitzes.
Do you see a situation to where, we had a gentleman on earlier from one of the guys who covered the Texans, and he was talking about Stroud after the concussion, and he doesn't run the ball, he doesn't move around anymore, and all those things, kind of protecting himself and getting rid of the ball, just not being athletic in the pocket. Could you see a situation to where if they get into him early, he doesn't have his number one guy, there's snow on the field, could you see him get in a situation where he kind of, I wouldn't say checks out, but starts using the excuses that he doesn't have everything around him and kind of collapses as the game goes on?
Yeah, maybe not checked out, Cerrone, but I think he might, turn away from some avenues to escape pressure. For example, like if he gets hit badly on a scramble, he might not want to run around. If he starts to throw the ball away, and that at least gets him out of pressure, maybe he does that. Or if he throws the ball away too much and he tries to force something. Like, I think there's definitely going to be a feeling out period, not just in terms of, okay, the Patriots getting home with their blitzes, are they not? What is Stroud doing in reaction to that? Because obviously the coaches on his sideline are going to tell him, look, we need more of this, we need less of that. Do they go to more quick games? Do they rely more on the play action game? Like, I'm very interested to see, is this a guy who is going to scoot out of bounds, give up on plays? Is he going to try to extend them more often and try to put on the Superman cape? I don't know. My gut would say he'll lean more conservative. And ultimately, for the Patriots, you're going to trust that because you think Drake May, with time, is going to break through this Texans defense if your defense can kind of just hold serve against Stroud.
Along those lines, obviously without his top receiver, Nico Collins, who you mentioned earlier, Christian Kirk had a big game for the Steelers last week. Dalton Schultz is their leading receiver. The Patriots have had trouble on tight ends. Who do you see, without Collins, who was such a high-volume target for them, who do you see becoming Stroud's go-to guy in this game?
I do think it's going to be Kirk, Alex, which is strange because, like, this dude was on the top shelf collecting dust with the elf on the shelf all throughout December and forgotten and not needed because of how deep the receiving core was.
Right.
But, he broke out against Pittsburgh partly because of, Nico Collins, but not late. But he had a lot of big plays. And this Texans offense is not designed to beat you down after down after down. Like, they want to get to their explosives in a way that their run game, like, okay, again, had a good day in Pittsburgh. The run game is really just a vehicle to get to their play action throws, right? We're going to show you one thing so we can get to another. Whether it's successful or not, that's fine. But we need you to believe that we're going to run the ball when we actually pull it out and go long. On top of that, Christian Kirk is going to work over the middle of the field. And on a snowy day like this, you know, if I'm Nick Caley, their OC, I'm not dialing up deep outs at 16, 20 yards. I want to give easy throws over the middle. Those combined with play action are going to open throwing windows, and I think ultimately it's going to funnel a lot of those targets. Not to mention, if you just want to play this on a strictly matchup perspective and standpoint, would you rather throw at Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis on the outside or Marcus Jones over the middle? And considering the size advantage Christian Kirk will have against Marcus Jones, who I like a lot, don't get me wrong, Marcus Jones is the only clear answer there.
Oh, could you see a situation in which this Patriots defense just says, you know what? I know we're saying blitz Stroud, but without Nico Collins, could you see them dropping a ton of guys in the coverage and say, all right, let's see you not make a mistake 40 times? Like, could you see them making Stroud make tough decisions and tough throws in these conditions, even though, you know, try and get pressure with 4, but kind of drop guys back and just sit there and see if Stroud can pick them apart?
Yeah, so two things on this, Cerrone. Number one is, like, when I say, or other people say, like, we're going to blitz the hell out of C.J. Stroud and they're going to do this and that. Like, the highest blitz rate you'll see is kind of what you saw against the Chargers, like 45%. That is a super high percentage. So even then, it's like a 50-50 with all of the dropbacks because, for the reason you just said, when you throw that changeup, but let's say, forget 4, let's say they rush 3 and drop 8, that's really going to kind of screw with Stroud's timing and his internal clock when he has more time after trying to speed up to beat the blitz. And at that point, again, you'll have an advantage. So they're going to change things up on him and spin the dial, I believe. Secondarily, though, look, their 4-man rush has just not warranted the faith that it can get home consistently. And again, I'll go back to last Sunday. Milt Williams looks like himself. Their pressure rate with a 4-man rush was about 26-27%. It was double when they blitzed. So to me, if there's a critical down, I'm just not going to ask Harold Landry, who didn't practice Friday, along with Milton Williams and Christian Barmore and Kayvon Chason, just to get home on their own, because even a bad Texans offensive line is better than the one they saw last weekend against the Chargers. And that Chargers offensive line, when faced with a 4-man rush, honestly did its job.
Yeah. All right, Andrew, who do you got today?
Man, I kind of hinted at this earlier, but the Nico Collins injury combined with Christian Gonzalez getting cleared has swung me from a heavy Texans lane earlier this week to a Patriots pick. And it's funny because we do all this analysis. We talk about pressure rates and this and that. Like, this is really going to come down to which quarterback makes the fewest mistakes, because you got conditions. You got guys who are going to be under pressure, either with a 4-man rush of the Texans or the Patriots blitz. Can you just hold on? Can you outlast the other team in these conditions? I trust Drake May to do that more than C.J. Stroud, but, man, this is going to be close. Give me Patriots 20, Texans 19.
Yeah, wow, really close. I'm right there with you, though. I think that's what it comes down to. Which quarterback can maybe make the one play that the other doesn't, or doesn't make the mistake that the other does? Kind of similar, it feels like, to last week.
Yeah, and look, like, I think when we do this and you pick the Patriots and you think, like, oh, of course, like, they're at home and they're favored by 3 points. The Texans defense, after, like, the snow, is going to have the biggest impact and be the strongest force in this game. I've thought about it all week, like you're running a marathon, and you're running a marathon into 20-degree winds. Like, you're racing C.J. Stroud, who you know you can kind of outpace here. That offense stinks. But in those conditions, you might just quit because of how forceful that is and how difficult it is to finish a marathon in strong headwinds. That's how good this Texans defense is. I don't want people to underestimate a defense, as Josh McDaniels has said. We have to have our best game of the season to be successful. That's not flowery praise. That's not hyping up an opponent. It's just the fact of a unit that's good front to back, fast, physical, doesn't miss tackles, and forces turnovers, frankly, like for fun, because they do it well enough when it's their job.
He is Andrew Callahan. He covers the Patriots for the Boston Herald. You can find him on social media at _Andrew Callahan. Get all of his coverage of the game today. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right. We're going to come back. We're going to do our pick segment at the top of the hour at 11, but we have to react to somebody else's picks first. I want to make sure we get to this. We will have a long commercial-free, just a bunch of game picks around the league, Patriots, Texans, all of it, coming up after this here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Winter Skate is back at Patriot Place.
which at least if you watch college football on College Game Day, they have a thing where, because they do their picks in real time, and they'll go down the line, everybody makes their pick, and they pick all the games for the week, and Kirk Herbstreit's usually last, and he has this bit about saving the graphic, where if everybody picks one team, sometimes he feels inclined to pick the other team, because when they all pick one team, there's a history of that screenshot getting posted when the team that they all picked lost. So I guess existing in the NFL a little bit. Are you surprised that there's that much national hype for the Texans, Cerrone?
Absolutely. I mean, it's even knowing the injury situation with Nico Collins, and they still said, nah, to the Texans. I think the Texans, so much of the Texans, they're good defense. They're great defense. They've been dominant all year. These guys have been good their whole careers. Defensive-minded head coach, all the things. Defense has been consistent about this team for a little while now. But I think that one game against the Bills instantly made them the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears. And it's like nationally they won't come off that, almost to the point where it's like, well, we don't care what C.J. Stroud does. And last week, with Stroud putting the ball on the ground 5 times and them looking awful, and they still won the game in blowout fashion, it's really amped it up to us like we don't care. The offense doesn't matter. The defense is there. They're going to win. I just don't think the Texans are good enough for everybody to unanimously be picking them. If this was the Seahawks, yes. But I don't think the Texans were that good. This is a team that's, what were they, 1-3 to start the season or something like that?
0-3.
0-3. I don't think they're that good to be unanimously picked by anybody across the board like that. And on the flip side, the Patriots have been at the top of the AFC all season. And it's like, yeah, but their schedule, it's like, oh, they've been pretty dominant. They've been smoking bad teams. They've beat the teams that we thought were going to be good teams. And a lot of these teams are like, well, this team didn't make the playoffs. They weren't 500. A lot of these teams didn't make the playoffs because they lost to the Patriots. Atlanta, if they win that game, they're probably in. If Tampa wins that game, they're probably in. If the Ravens win that game, they're probably in the playoffs. These are teams the Patriots kept out. But I don't think the Texans were good enough for anybody to unanimously pick them, especially after they knew Nico Collins wasn't going to play that game.
617-779-0985. You want to join us? Call in. We got an hour to go here on the 4-hour edition. Those are the ESPN picks. We're going to do our game picks, go through the divisional round.
No way.
Plus our reactions to last night. I've had some people reach out to me. They're curious what I have to say about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen and the way that game went last night. We'll get into all of it here after these headlines. No commercials here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
From the Telfair Tire Studios, WBZ FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
It is divisional Sunday in the NFL. The Patriots kick things off today, hosting the Houston Texans. Pre-game coverage starts at noon right here on 98.5, the Sports Hub, leading up to the 3 o'clock kickoff. The winner of this game will travel to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship next week. The Broncos earned that right to host when they beat the Bills 33-30 in overtime last night. However, not all smiles in Denver this morning. After the game, head coach Sean Payton announced Broncos quarterback Bo Nix suffered a fractured ankle. He is out for the season, so the Broncos are expected to go forward with former Patriots quarterback Jarrett Stidham. In the NFC, the Seahawks punched their ticket to the NFC Championship last night in blowout fashion, 41-6 win over the San Francisco 49ers. The other half of that championship game will be decided tonight. Second game of the day is the Rams visiting the Chicago Bears. And elsewhere in the NFL, the coaching carousel continues on. The Atlanta Falcons have hired former Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. Celtics and Bruins both with blowout wins last night. The Celtics beat the Hawks on the road 132-106. Jaylen Brown led the way with 41 points. The Bruins picked up a lopsided win of their own over the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2. Mason Lowry, 2 goals for the Bees. Sports Hub headlines are driven by the fun to drive Honda HR-V. Head to your local New England Honda dealers to learn more and see our lineup of Honda vehicles. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update is during Patriots pregame.
Laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Pick a target.
You pick it.
Take your pick.
Pick me. Pick me.
I did not pick. There was no pick.
Pick him up. You pick him up.
Pick.
I pick.
Pick me, pick me, pick me.
Pick the teams.
Pick one, jerk.
All right, not as much in terms of picks this week. 2 reactions, 2 picks, divisional weekend in the NFL. We go chronologically, so we start with the AFC divisional game between the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo, damn it. I'm standing up for us.
All right, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on that. Let's talk about the football game.
I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it. I'm standing up for us.
Standing up for Buffalo. Trying to save his job. She should have lost 2 years ago. All right, let's talk about the football game. Broncos win 33-30, get up big. Josh Allen, James Cook, massive turnover issues early. Buffalo, as they've done, fought back. Sure, many people like myself live bet the Bills at halftime. But they can't get it quite done in the end. They get the field goal late to tie it. Each team with the possession. So Josh Allen did touch the ball in overtime. Can't score. Broncos win. Before we get to the officiating stuff and the Bo Nix stuff, so we're going to actually spend some time on this game here because we only have 4 games to pick. It was a good football game. It was a good, entertaining, back-and-forth football game, and I think it really hammers home the point. There was no top or bottom of the AFC this year, at least as it came to the playoff contenders. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Raiders and Titans sucked, but there was not between 1 and 7, even 1 and 8, if you want to throw the Colts in before Daniel Jones got hurt, really not much of a gap between those teams this year, and I think this showed it.
It did, and this was, the score was 30, 31, whatever it was.
33-30.
33-30, excuse me. Those were top 5 defenses out there. Those were elite defenses.
That Broncos defense, they could not handle the play action. That rollout right was cooking them all day. It was killing them. The Bills should have had another touchdown on it late, and Allen overthrew the guy.
Yeah, he did. The Bills blew it. They got down big early, and it looked like Denver was going to run them out of the building, but they had their opportunities. They had several opportunities to not only win that game, they had opportunities probably to blow Denver out.
To put it away.
Really put it away.
Crazy to think about when you turn the ball over 5 times. I look at, so Denver has a great opening drive, get down into the red zone, stall out. Little Jordan Humphrey drops past the end zone field goal. And then at the start of the second half, Buffalo fumbles 2 plays in. They got the ball at the kickoff. They fumbled 2 plays in. The Broncos take over at the 17, but another field goal. And that's 8 huge points. I was ready to come in here and talk about red zone being the deciding factor and the Broncos leaving those 8 points on the board. But the Bills turned the ball over way too many times. I think they kind of fell asleep late in that game defensively when it came to defending Cortland Sutton. Didn't do much for the first 55 minutes, but came up big late. And, okay, my thing with officials, we've talked about this. I will not blame officials for deciding games. I think bad officiating can impact the product, and I think it can be bad for the sport. The officials did not decide the game. The first pass interference was ticky-tack, and they had kept it in their pockets for most of the fourth quarter. They kept the flags in their pockets, which was awesome. I shouldn't have said it. I said to my buddy, the officials stayed out of this. And then the first PI was ticky-tack, but Bosa hits Bo Nix a week and a half after the throw, so it's a difference of 2 yards, and it still puts the Broncos in field goal position. The second PI is PI. You cannot do that.
Marlon Humphreys thought that was pass interference, too.
That was clearly PI. And then as for the Brandon Cooks play, if you remember, there was a play here when the Bills played the Patriots that was the same thing. And not only did they call it a catch, they called it DPI on Marcus Jones. So I thought it was an interception then. I think it is an interception now. But if they had ruled it a catch last night, I would have said, fine. They're being consistent. So that play did not cost the Bills the game. Because you had 5 turnovers. Josh Allen had the ball in his hands multiple times with a chance to win the game and choked. And he's not mostly at fault. It's the head coach and, frankly, the GM, who we'll get to in a minute. But all I'm asking for is consistency. We had the same play in 2 games called 2 different ways. And I personally think both should be interceptions. People are pointing out the screen grab of the ball's in his hands and his knees on the ground. The catch mechanic is not the same as being down or being tackled mechanic. It's 2 different things.
Full position.
Right. He didn't have full position. It's very temporary. It's a brief moment. I think it was somebody said earlier. You said earlier, you have the catch when you hand the ball to the ref, right?
Whoever hands the ball to the ref caught the ball.
Right. So,
that's simple.
In my mind, those are both interceptions. But if it was called if they were both called catches, fine. That's how they're calling it. There needs to be consistency. Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing with me if you want to be frustrated. But when you turn the ball over 5 times, I'm not shedding it, especially that one at the end of half, which was just moronic.
He kind of threw the ball into field goal position.
I'm not shedding any tears for the Bills on that one.
No, I mean you can't throw 2 interceptions. You can't fumble the ball 3 times. This is Josh Allen who will lose 2 fumbles, and then say, "Man, the ref screwed us in this game." You had Dalton Kincaid streaking into the end zone. You put that ball in the numbers. Game's over. You win. You can't throw that deep ball that got picked off by the safety there. You just hung it up in the air, and you got burned on that one as well. You had your opportunities. Cook can't put the ball on the ground. He participated in that.
Yep.
The receivers, they had their drops. They had the bad throw you mentioned to Hardman on the outside. All the little things, they blew it. They shot themselves in the foot. The game should never even got to overtime for those plays to even happen.
Correct. That's how you don't want the refs to be a part of the game. Don't play it close enough that the refs become a part of the game. You should have blew them out. What I've said all along. And also, by the way, if we're going to do that thing, go back and watch, I think it's the first Bills drive of overtime, right, where they're backed up into the end zone. There's a holding in the end zone. I mean, that should have been safety. The game should have been
They called it.
They didn't call it. And
they mentioned it on the air, but they didn't call it in the game.
And there was another holding on the 3rd down the drive before, which is when I said to my buddy, the refs are staying out of this. This is good. I like this. But then Sean McDermott goes to the podium after the game. Can we get it one more time here, Ryan?
At it. And it's hard for me to, and I've had a chance to look at, it's hard for me to understand why it was ruled the way it was ruled. And if it is ruled that way, then why wasn't it slowed down? Just to make sure that we have this right. That would have made a lot of sense to me, to make sure that we have this thing right, because that's a pivotal play in the game. We have the ball at the 20, maybe kicking a game-winning field goal right there. So I'll just leave it at that. But I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo. Damn it, I'm standing up for us. Because what went on is not how it should go down, in my estimation. That plays these guys.
Couple things there. They did an expedited review, saw what they needed to see. So yeah, they probably should have stopped the game and taken a longer look. Admittedly, they should have. But it's not like they didn't look at it at all. He did not leave it there. He went afterwards, after his press conference, and spoke to a Bills reporter and gave another couple hundred words on it. And 3, I don't know how many people remember this. Mike Vrabel, after the Patriots-Bills game, was asked. He did not bring it up, and I know McDermott was asked there too. Was asked about the officials after that game. He said something like, I was surprised the Bills weren't called for any holds, even though they were. He was like, I'm surprised the Bills weren't called for any holds, even though they lead the league in holds. And somehow that got back to McDermott. And when McDermott was asked about what Vrabel said, he said, quote, we go by what the officials call, ... Mike can talk whatever he wants to talk about, all due respect. We enjoyed a good game yesterday, hard-fought game. We're moving on. So what is it, Sean? We standing up for Buffalo? Or is it we go by what the officials call?
To me, hey, let's stop it. Let's slow it down. Let's put the head referee and give him a chance to look at the monitor just to make sure. Just to make sure.
Let's give the ref a chance to look at this. He's had a long day.
They got to fire him. Look, Josh Allen didn't play great yesterday. Defensive coach. He's now at 9 years.
Hey, can you get Carl over here? Where's Carl? Came over, and those guys.
Can we find
great.
Carl, please?
They were great.
I get he's posturing, trying to save his job and all that. They're not going to win with him and being the GM because that roster's not what it needs to be. They need to get a new coach.
And real quick,
yeah,
the biggest thing, the one guy who knew it wasn't a catch.
Brandon Cooks. That's another one. And
he laid on the ground like disappointment, like that guy blew it.
The body language can tell you. The body language can tell you.
But I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it.
I'm standing up for Buffalo. Means something. Have fun being a DC summer.
If he gets fired, if you're Tomlin, do you say, you know what? Never mind these kids. I'm going back to coaching. I think I take Josh Allen.
I consider it.
New stadium, new changes. Yeah, I think I might jump back in the game. Tomlin hasn't had a quarterback in a long time, and you give him Josh Allen, he might jump right into that.
All right, we got to get some of these other games here. We also had, so after that, and that game was like so emotionally draining. I'm like, I can't believe we have another game tonight. We did. It was the Seahawks-Niners. They got that one out of the way quickly. Rashid Shaheed, opening kickoff return for a touchdown.
Game over.
Sorry, the soundbite didn't even.
You feel me? Start taking care of y'all mentals, y'all bodies, and y'all chicken.
We have to play Marshawn Lynch.
We did. Well, taking care of y'all's bodies. Taking care of y'all's bodies very important when you're practicing.
Start taking care of y'all mentals, y'all bodies, and y'all chicken.
Taking care of your body very important when you're practicing next to the power substation there in San Francisco. The Darnold hurt, didn't matter. Kenneth Walker looked really good. That line looked good. The defense. Are the Seahawks the Super Bowl favorites, Cerrone?
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, Donald is all tore up right now. But I think the only reason no one's saying this is the runaway favorite, nobody trusts Sam Darnold. That's what it literally comes down to.
I think you're right, especially
no one trusts him
with the injury.
Yeah.
Could we get Jarrett Stidham, Drew Lock in the Super Bowl?
Who would the Celtics playing that day?
Remember, like every year, the Celtics would play the Super Bowl matinee, and Paul Pierce would. He has like 3 or 4 buzzer beaters on Super Bowl Sunday,
and no one sees them.
Well, no, because they're like 2:00. That used to be my thing. Like, all right, Paul Pierce did his buzzer beater. Now we're locked in on football. Patriots Broncos coming up later as we move on to today's slate. Line's now at 3.5. It was 3 earlier this week. 3:00 this morning, as of whenever Ryan. Oh, it's right here, 7:47 when Ryan printed this out. And then tonight, this is actually going to be, I think, the two ultimately better games, more fun games are today.
Yeah.
Patriots, Texans, I think, as a neutral fan, would be a great game. And then Rams, Bears.
Is that the Packers always?
Right here! That's my man right here!
Well done, DJ. Well done. Go and enjoy it.
Appreciate it.
We talked about the weather here quite a bit.
Yeah, buddy.
And Houston has proven they can travel in the cold. They beat KC there earlier this year. It is supposed to be at kickoff, 21 degrees. It's going to get down into the teens, a little bit of snow. It is going to be windier there than it is here. Can the Rams handle it, though? They're 4.5-point favorites against Caleb Williams and the Bears.
I think they can. Same with the Texans. That stat about dome teams playing below 40. One? Yeah, I've seen that circulating a lot, man. I think there was the Texans won last week. So now it was dome teams are 2-16 in the last 10 years when it's below 40.
Yeah.
And in Chicago, it's going to be 40 degrees below 40. But, I mean, it's going to be bad there in those conditions. I understand guys like Devontae Adams have played in that before. And Stafford's played in the NFC North. So he's played in Chicago. He's played in Green Bay. He's been through that. But that stat, man, it's not even close. And I think the weather's going to impact the Texans and the Rams. Now, is it going to be enough to sway the game? I don't know, but there will be an impact there. But I think the Rams' overall talent might win them this football game.
Ryan, you want to tell Cerrone what you just told me?
Oh, Cerrone, you'll be excited to know that the Celtics are playing the New York Knicks at 12:30 on Super Bowl Sunday. It's a bad day for you.
There you go.
I got the Rams in this one. I'm taking I know it's cold and all that. I'm taking the veteran duo of Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. I do think Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams are building something. I'm impressed with what they've done.
Yeah.
I do think that team is going to hang around. It is going to be fun kind of looking at the Patriots and Bears side by side, I think, for the next decade plus. I think there's something there. I know a lot of people want that to be the Super Bowl, and it would be a fun Super Bowl. I just like McVay and Stafford in the spot. I could even see the Bears covering the 4.5. But I like McVay and Stafford in that spot.
Real quick, with all these teams and all these games, with the way the league has been built and constructed around the passing game, around the quarterbacks, could you basically pick Super Bowl winners or contenders just based off who has the best quarterback?
Well,
like a week to that point to where just pick the quarterback and you pick the winner of these games.
It's funny you say that. I was saying to somebody last night, Josh Allen's out. Lamar, Mahomes, Burrow, obviously not here, didn't make it. Trevor Lawrence was one of the better quarterbacks this year. He's out. I was trying to think of the other ones. You look at who's standing, and it's Houston was one of the best defenses in the league. Seahawks, one of the best defenses in the league. Niners, one of the best defenses in the league. The Broncos were obviously the best defense in the league. The Patriots are one of the better defenses. I don't have the Bears or Rams rankings in front of me. I think the Rams are out there.
The Rams are there, I think.
It's all the defenses that are still standing. Now, there are still the two top
The MVP candidates are still going.
Right. So you can't say none of the quarterbacks made. I'm trying to find the scoring defense point per games here. You're going to have to give me a minute. But
Rams 10th points given up. So
it's more the defenses than it is the quarterbacks that have made it to this point.
And in the other one, I would throw in there defensive head coaches. Do you think everybody's going to, not want to say go away from we got to find the young, hot offensive coordinator? Could you see guys saying, let's get a good quarterback with a defensive-minded head coach? And you think that's more of a formula to winning and more of success?
It's a copycat league. I could see that. So, again, the top defense in the NFL in terms of scoring. Seattle still here. Houston still here. Denver still here. The Patriots still here. Eagles and Chiefs and Vikings aren't. So then it drops off a little bit. The Rams are 10. Niners are all the way in 13th. I thought they were higher than that. And then the Bears are further down. But it feels like it's the defenses more than the quarterbacks right now. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Look, if May and Stafford win today, maybe that narrative totally changes. We only had 4 games, really 3, because Patriots were winning. And Patriots are in it, I should say. And we still blew way past it. So that's picks. We have 2 games next week. We'll try to do better. We will be back, though, for more Patriots-Texans talk here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way on the Sports Hub.
quick call first. Justin and Lynn. Justin.
Hey, Alex Bob, I have a key to the game today, and one is ball security, and the offensive line, too, needs to protect McMahon and give him time to throw the football. I just want to jump out on that real quick.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Justin. Ball security is the story of the game.
Yeah.
Houston.
Both teams.
Yeah. Houston's offense is behind its defense, and they're not the most efficient at scoring when they don't get short fields. And if you don't give Houston short fields, you make them drive the length of the field, especially in what we think the conditions are going to be today, it could be a long day for them. It very well could be a long day for them. So it's all about, for the Patriots, holding on to the football. And then on the other side, if you're Houston, you hope last week was an anomaly, because they've been a very good turnover team offensively this year. But obviously 3 last week. They technically had 5 fumbles. Some of those were bad snaps, but it's going to be cold and raw and nasty and loud again. So which team can figure it out in that regard, I think, is going to be huge.
And I think one thing that's kind of getting overlooked, the Texans offense really struggled last week. That was the 29th ranked pass defense in football, the Steelers. We look at the Steelers, we look at the uniform, we look at Tomlin, we look at Watt, we see all the Steelers' terrible towel of the defense. The Steelers' pass defense was ranked 29th, and the Texans couldn't really move the ball. They struggled. The Patriots' defense is better than that. They have better guys on the outside. Their corners, their good young safeties have been very good for this team. And when they're at 100%, they're elite. That's an elite defensive team. And I think this is, you put the conditions, you put the number one guy out, the number one receiver, number one offensive player out of the game with his concussion, whatever. It's going to be tough. I say tough sledding. It kind of fits with the weather. It's going to be tough for the Texans to have long, sustained drives. I think you mentioned it earlier. They're like 29th and 30th in average yards per drive. They don't like long, sustained drives. They like short fields. They've settled for field goals. They'll take the points. They end every drive with a kick, and they don't turn the ball over. So if you keep giving them short fields, they're going to take advantage. But I can see the Patriots being in situations where it's 3rd and 12, and they're saying, you know what? Let's not force this one. Let's get what we can out of it, and let's punt the ball to them and see if they can go 70 yards. I can see them doing that a lot, and I think those are wins. I think those are wins you take for the Patriots. If they're punting the ball and getting good punts, those are wins for the Patriots, and that gives more cracks at getting that Stroud and getting that ball back and playing the field position game. I think a good punt, field goals are wins against this team today. They don't feel bad because they're kicking a field goal, putting it away. I think those are wins.
I want them to play conservatively today.
Yeah.
I do. I want them to play conservatively today. And I think that as long as they don't give the Texans opportunities, they can win. It's the extra opportunities you give Houston in this game that can be the issue. I think that's what matters most. All right. Little conditions check here, because I had a couple people text me during that last break that they are already sitting in traffic trying to get onto Route 1 down by Gillette. So it is an early arriving crowd down in Foxborough. And Ryan, if you can go over to the window for me for a moment. Kevin's going to go over to the window. We're a few miles away, so I don't know how reliable this is. I texted those people about the weather. They've not gotten back to me. How are we looking? Is the snow piling up at all? No, not piling up yet. All right. So wait and see. I think it's supposed to stop. I think there was it was morning flurries, stop, and then it's going to start snowing again right when the game starts, I believe is.
Yeah, and then pick up at halftime, I think, around that time.
Yeah. Let's grab a couple more calls here before we hit the break. Pete and Pembroke. Pete.
Hey, what's up? Good morning, Barth.
Good morning.
Quick question for you here. Obviously, last week we saw some trouble with the offensive line. This week we're going to see an even tougher defensive line here with Houston. Any chance you think that they go to Verdarian Lowe or Ben Brown quickly with the hook if Campbell or Wilson start to struggle early with the weather and everything?
Thanks for the call, Pete. Verdarian Lowe, no. We saw him matched up against his Houston team last year. I think they're Will Campbell's your first round pick. You're not pulling your first round pick in this game. Jared Wilson, maybe because Ben Brown has played more recently and the gap there is just closer. But we talked about this earlier. This coaching staff has really seemed to make it a point of letting players, especially young players, play through things. and stuck with some guys maybe a little more than would be expected. And in some cases, it's worked. Mm-hmm. In some cases, it's absolutely worked. Ramondre Stevenson being the main example. And there are a lot of people wanted him benched, maybe even cut with the fumbles earlier in the year, and they stuck with him. They let him work through it. He had to deal with an injury as well. And look at where he's at now, right? So I think they're going to let Jared Wilson play through this. I think they're going to let Will Campbell play through this. Do they maybe switch it with Ben Brown if it gets really bad? I could see that. I don't think we're going to see Vidarian Lowe in this game.
This game is giving me very similar vibes to, I want to say it was when the Patriots played the Panthers in the Super Bowl. Remember for like 2 weeks, it was the Patriots' unknown offensive line versus Peppers and was it Frosty Rucker or whatever, the D tackle. And you had Warren Sapp coming out and he couldn't name none of the Patriots offensive linemen. There was a lot of that going on back then. And then when the game starts, it's like you never heard anything from the defensive lines of those teams. And I just have a feeling that the Patriots offensive line, yeah, they might give up a sack here, pressures here or there, but I think they hold up more than people are anticipating. I think they hold up enough. And I don't think every place I think people are looking at them like they're going to look like the Chargers last week. And I'm like, I think this Patriots offensive line is better than that. I think the right side offensive line has some veteran guys over there. I think they're pretty smart. I think this is a well-coached offensive line. The young guys on the left, they are young. But they were dominant SEC guys on the left side that were drafted there for a reason. And a lot of teams would gladly take those guys. Will Campbell, yes, he had his struggles. Those are Pro Bowl, All-Pro, and one of them's probably going to Hall of Fame, and Khalil Mack, guys that he's dealing with. He's going to be dealing with the same thing this week, but he was coming off the ankle injury. He hadn't played in a while. All those factors play into it.
He's also he faced Will Anderson in college.
He's seen this guy before. And it's like he can go back to his own tape of how he handled him, how he handled his athleticism when the kid was 19, 20 years old. He can go back and look at his own. How did I look against this guy before? I think this offensive line holds up a little better. And I think you're going to see situations where it's Austin Hooper or Hunter Henry standing next to these guys in some of these situations. And I think those type of plays and formations will open up the play action game and allow these tight ends to chip and get out and make some passes. Or, Texas anticipating those chips, play action game, these guys get downfield to make plays. I think this Patriots offense can handle those defensive ends and those edge rushers of the Texans.
I also, of course, I say that thing about the weather. I get a million texts back right away. The intern Jake checks in. No snow on the not intern Jake. Wow, I'm sorry, Jake. Producer Jake checks in. Just got to Gillette with Joe Murray post game. It's going to be live at Gillette. No snow on the ground. Says it's flurries. A couple other people said flurries mixed with rain, misty. But the traffic is getting there. So if you're on the way to the game, you're sitting in traffic, you want to kill some time, give us a call, 617-779-0985. We'll be back to talk more Patriots Texans after this on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub.
New England fans, join Matt.
Let Bob and Zoe have the call at 3 o'clock. Joe Murray and Mark Dendero on location for Patriots postgame coming up later today. You guys just loaded up the phones on thoughts on this game, so we'll hear from you as we get a little closer to this game getting started. We start with Josh in Connecticut. Josh.
Hey, Alex. Wanted to ask you on Westover. They bring him in at the fullback, and it's obvious when he's in that they're going to run the ball. First of all, why did they do that? And do you think it's setting up for them to fake it and throw it to him down in the red zone? And then I also just wanted to see what you thought on Diggs. He was barely a part of the offense last week. They threw it to him 3 times. Do you think he's more of a presence today? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Josh. On Westover, they actually do throw the ball with him in the game, I think, more than people realize. They threw one to him last week. They'll put him in to get the defense into the heavy personnel, into the bigger personnel, into base. And Josh McDaniels has never been afraid to be predictable because he trusts his run game in that sense, and they'll run the ball with him on the field. As for Diggs, teams are taking him away. Buffalo did it the game here. The Chargers copied it last week. This is what a coverage-dictating wide receiver does. Now, we'll see if he can beat some of those doubles, but it's also, there's going to be less attention for everybody else across the board. Who's going to step up and take advantage of their one-on-ones? And we had talked about it earlier, Cerrone, Demario Douglas. Potentially big spot for Demario Douglas. If you're going to see a lot of one-on-one man coverage, he's probably, outside of Diggs, their best at beating that.
Yeah, Kyle Williams as well.
Yep.
You play Kyle Williams one-on-one. We've seen you get one-on-one of him up the sidelines. He can make big plays. It was a cold, windy night in Baltimore, and he made that amazing catch up the sidelines. One of the key plays to that game. He has that ability. In the rain in Tampa, he makes the big play, and he's gone up the sidelines. So Kyle Williams is another one, explosive guy you don't want to leave one-on-one, especially a team that's got burnt a lot on deep passes downfield. You don't want to leave them in those situations. And look, I think this Patriot team, I think they can move the ball. I think their tight ends are going to be pretty effective in this game. But I can see them using everything. And to this point of Stephon Diggs, they were dropping D tackles across the middle of the field last week and hitting him within the 5 yards. It was D tackles hitting Stephon Diggs within the 5 yards of slants. They went out of their way to take those plays away. But I don't see this Texans team sacrificing somebody on their D-line to drop back into coverage to take away the underneath stuff. I don't see that being something in their nature.
I think schematically it'll be different, but it might be a robber safety, something. They're going to have some extra attention on Stephon Diggs. And it's, good. He's dictating that coverage. You need that. Who else is going to step up? Let's go to Alex in Syracuse. Alex, you there?
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
We're from Western and Central New York, so just so happy that Buffalo had lost. But, McDermott's not the guy. I agree. He should have been gone years ago. Question, just listening to Bedard all week, he says that you can run on the Texans. Is this going to be a run-heavy game? A lot of Ramondre, a lot of Trevion Henderson, and maybe with the weather, we're just going to take May out of the equation a little bit and just let these guys run the ball. Just curious your thoughts. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alex. I don't know about that run heavy. I don't think you can be predictable against this Texans defense. They're too good in terms of run pass. I know I just said the thing about Westover, but you want to be able to hit them from both sides, but they have to establish some version of the run game. Whether it's working or not, you have to continually go to it to an extent because it's going to slow down those pass rushers. If they know they have to stay honest and hold their lanes and they can't just go right after the quarterback, it's one little thing that you can do to help hold them up, and it's going to be about one little thing here and there and those adding up to slow down this pass rush.
Yeah, I think you're going to see situations where they run the ball. I think you're going to see opposites. What I mean by that is you're going to see them spread out, run the ball out of draw a lot, where the defensive ends are getting upfield, and you see the delayed draws with Henderson or Stevenson, whoever it may be. And I think you can see them in heavy situations to where they're play action and they're throwing the ball just to get them on their heels. I don't think you're going to see them line up in a simple I formation and hand the ball off the traditional way. I could see them out of the shotgun in situations where, I would love to see them do this, but with both running backs in the backfield to the left and right of May, to where they're just causing havoc up front, not knowing if it's a draw, if it's a screen, who's getting the ball, just to kind of get them on their heels or standing flat-footed to where they're not just firing off the ball.
Both running backs, even, putting that 6 offensive linemen out there, the Texans have not been as good defensively in base if you put Thayer Munford out there as the eligible tackle and you force them into base, the Patriots can throw out of that set. They started doing it last week. It was a good wrinkle. And that might be something you want to build on this week. Let's go to Colin in the car on the Texans defense. Colin.
Hey, guys. How are you? I'm driving down to the game right now with my 11-year-old son, Matt. His first game. Love the analysis. Love the details. I'm just fired up. And there's something we can't forget about the mystique, boys. We can't forget about the fact I'm sick and tired of everyone ranting and raving. All the ESPN clowns pick the Texans, right? The Texans are the best defense in the world. Send them to the Super Bowl right away. No. Gillette's going to be rocking. Vrabel's got the bulletin board material going. I have no analysis. I have nothing of substance to add other than the fact that we are back, baby. We are back. That stadium's going to be going nuts. I hope it gets cold. I hope we get like a polar vortex comes in out of nowhere and the boys from Texans have the pee dripping down their legs. They don't know what to do. I'm so pumped. We're back, baby. Let's go, Pats.
All right.
Thank you guys for the
All right, Colin. Let's go. That's kind of call you get heading down to get. No, that. You know, it was interesting. I'll relay this now. I thought Sean Payton, before the game against the Bills, made a good point. A lot of crowds in the NFL get loud when the team breaks the huddle. That's not when you really need to be loud. I mean, it helps because they can't communicate at the line. You want to be loud while they're in the huddle.
Yeah, so they can't communicate.
Right, and because that's when the call's coming in over the headset. So Colin's going to be loud, it sounds like, the whole time. It doesn't matter. Jack in the car.
Oh, go to
Jack.
Hey, what's up, Barth?
Hey.
Driving the game right now. Just wondering, Josh hasn't necessarily done great in games where there's a ton of pressure, especially quick pressure. What is his game plan for the quick pass game, just to make sure that Drake gets the ball out of his hands super fast?
Yeah, Jack, there's a couple things he can do. Thanks for the call. Those quick passes, this might be a week where you go back to the screen. It's weird. Man defense doesn't blitz a lot. That team should be really good against screens. Just schematically, that's how you cover a screen.
Yeah.
The Texans have not been good against screens this year. So maybe you test them there, draw, just anything to set off the timing. Anything that upsets the timing of the front where they can't just go and it's like, all right, well, I got to make sure I hold back and hold my lane in case they run the ball. That's the biggest thing Josh McDaniels can do is mix it up to impact the timing.
Real quick, something you mentioned a couple callers ago with them being in base formations.
Yeah.
If they're good and they're pretty good with 3 receivers on the field, the 4 dime sets or whatever it may be, would you say, you know what? Fine, we're just going to put a formation out there where you're not putting those guys on the field. We're going to make you put all your linebackers on the field, and we're going to trust our base guys against your base and see if you can handle Hunter Henry or Austin Hooper. And then if we just put 2 receivers out there, could you see situations where they're not even they're forcing the Texans to take that nickel corner off the field and put a linebacker out there instead?
I think that could work to an extent. What happened kind of late in the game last week, they might just start matching the big formation with nickel. And like basically dare you to throw out a heavy, which the Patriots can do, but it's not something you want to be doing down in and down out. So I think early on in the game, establish it, certainly see how that goes. And if they don't make that switch and go back to nickel, then keep them in base all day. If they go back to nickel, well, I mean, that's the chess match. This is what this is. Then you have to go back and forth again. Let's go to Mike in Brooklyn. Mike.
Hey, Barth, Cerrone, love listening to you guys on Sunday morning, particularly when it's a wintry mix here, and I'm trying to entertain a toddler and not lose my mind, which might be the reason for my call. Barth, you mentioned last week and again earlier this morning about special teams and field position being important. I was anticipating last week we didn't get it, but if we get a dumb Brendan Schooler block in the back or personal foul penalty on a return, Lord grant me strength so I don't flip out of my toddler with cabin fever. That's my thought. Thanks, and I appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Specific Brendan Schooler penalty call. Okay, yeah, obviously you want to cut down on the penalties in this game and
play clean.
It's a field position game. Returns, kicking game, that's all going to be big. Going to run through these last couple here real quick. Cam in Wilmington. Cam.
Hey, Alex, you stole my thunder there a second ago with the screen game, but I'd like to see them do a little bit more pony, do some of the, fake screens over to Henderson, maybe get some to Ramondre. I'd really like to see that because you want to keep this defensive line guessing, and I want to make them think. And like you said with base, they're not great in base, so let's make these edge rushers think because that's going to take the pressure off of Campbell and Moses when we are, true dropping back.
Yeah, that's Cam. That's exactly it. You just want Think about like spinning the dial on a defense, or when a defense spins the dial on the quarterback, right? You just want to make them think about as many different possibilities as you can. That's what Josh McDaniels can do this pass rush. I'll just be clear. They're still good in base. They're just not nearly as good as
dominant
as what they are when they can kind of, because what they do is in base, Petrie plays deep. They'll bring him down into the box when they add that other safety, and he's a really good player. It makes a big difference. One more call here to clean the board. Mike in Oregon. Mike.
Yeah, guys, just want to get your take on something really quick. I can see the Patriots taking advantage of one of the Texans' strengths, and that's their pass rush gets in the backfield really fast. And so I think Henderson's the key there. And if Henderson, I've been a little disappointed on how he's dealt with contact. He goes down pretty easy. But I think in this particular game, if he can get a couple yards and those guys have come by the line, I think Henderson could have a huge day today.
Thanks for the call, Mike. I meant to say this earlier, Cerrone. We were just talking about this, about how teams are taking Diggs away and like who's going to step up. And we kind of name the receivers. I actually think really it's a big day for throwing to the running backs and tight ends.
Yeah, because the linebackers is going to be so occupied.
Yeah.
Safeties as well.
I could be a big volume day for Hunter Henry and get them actually like. They did a lot in the summer, and they haven't done a lot this year. Not just throwing them screens or checkdowns or in the flat.
One-on-one with linebackers.
Get them out in the formation and have them running a more developed route tree. I think could be a big game for that. All right, we got to hit this break. We'll be back. Our game picks as we wrap up a 4-hour edition of Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff coming up next.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the Sports Hub.
Why drive when you can...
Patriots with a spot in the AFC Championship against Jarrett Stidham on the line. Cerrone, if I had come in here in August and said, yeah, the Patriots are going to host the Texans as the 2 seed in the divisional round with Drake May, an MVP candidate, and if they win, they will face the Jarrett Stidham-led Houston Texans in the AFC Championship. This is why the NFL is king. This is why. You all would have had me checked on, and it would have been fair.
But you know what, real quick?
Yeah.
Denver's used to this. This is Brock Osweiler and Peyton Manning. And they won the Super Bowl with that.
They made a run with Tim freaking Tebow.
They did. They went 11-5 and won a playoff game. This is not new. This is not new to Broncos fans.
No. And look, whoever goes there next week, the defense is still good. It's still going to have to win it. But they got to get there first. They got to get there first. Patriots, Texans coming up. Pre-game starts at noon. We'll have the call 3 o'clock. Post-game live from the station from the stadium, I should say. After that, Cerrone, who you got today?
Man, I got the Patriots. I'm going to say I think they get to 27. I got them around 27-14, 27-17 type game. Not because they they up and down the field offensively. I think they get a lot of cracks at it because of the 3-and-outs by the Texans. Because of short possessions, field position games. I think they get enough to get a couple good drives in. Not even saying Texas turnovers, but I think they get 3 good drives in this game and find the end zone and get a couple field goals out of it. And I think the Texans, as the game goes on, really struggles to get first downs. A lot of punts, a lot of cracks at it. Patriots, I'm going to say 27-17.
I'm going to say, so we're close. I'm going to say 24-16 Patriots. I think it's a low-scoring game. The Texans are going to get a turnover. I'd be surprised if they didn't capitalize on a short field. But I think the Patriots lock it down from there. Slow, methodical, conservative, purposeful approach to this one, and are able to get their way up and down the field and get just enough done to punch their ticket to the AFC Championship game.
I think the Patriots can win. Let's say if Drake May doesn't turn it over, I think they blow this team out.
I would be legitimately surprised if the Patriots have no turnovers and lose the game.
Yeah.
I think that would be the most surprising outcome to me.
Yep. And on go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, no Patriots turnovers, but a loss. Like, if the Patriots don't turn the ball over, they should win.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel.
Full stop.
And on the flip side, I think Stroud can't afford a single mistake.
Nope.
He has to play a flawless game because of the situation they're in. And I think that's just too much pressure for him in that offense to deal with on the road against a Patriots defense that's not getting talked about enough because they're top 5 as well. I think Stroud has to be perfect for them to win this game. And Drake May actually doesn't have to be. And I think that's the difference in this game.
Garvin, real quick, who you got?
Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but
No way. No.
I'm picking the Patriots too.
No. I don't have a graphic.
I don't have a graphic.
Change mine.
Look, Drake May has been hit. He has been sacked. He has fumbled the ball. He has lost guys. He has lost linemen. None of it has made a difference. The kid is an absolute freak. I think he's going to perform well. I also have the same score as Cerrone, 27-17 probably. So, yeah, I have the Patriots.
All right, well, we'll be back next week either previewing the AFC Championship or previewing the off-season. 8 a.m. start time to that one, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll do 4 hours again if it's the AFC Championship. For Cerrone Battle, Ryan Garvin, great job as always. I'm Alex Barth. You missed any of the show, Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, wherever you get your podcasts, also on the Sports Hub YouTube channel. I'll be back tomorrow with new episodes of the Patriots Hub podcast reacting to this one. Enjoy the game, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports. WBZ-FM at HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Media Group Station.